Good evening, Oakland and beyond. Well, good evening, Oakland and beyond for us, but for those of you that are tuning in, it's either good morning or good afternoon, Oakland and beyond, since this is, for the first time in a while, a pre recorded version of your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics, and the first time we've done a show in nearly God, creeping up on almost 5 months now since the spring training show we did back on March 12th, and of course we all know the coronavirus pandemic going off the rails basically around that point. Everything shutting down, shelter in place is going into place. So we basically have been in quarantine for our own reasons, and because of obviously to respect the guidelines out there. But now, given the circumstances and the fact that baseball is finally coming back at y'all, we figured we may as well go ahead and bring our good old madness back out. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to show number 269, the return from quarantine edition of your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics. It is time, finally, for the first time in almost 5 months, for A's Fan Radio. What's going on, everybody? It is the legally 5150 Corporal Right Field asshole coming from you from the spot that will serve temporarily as our broadcasting home for the next couple of weeks until the new Dub 6 Studios is ready to rock and roll. We're currently at what we'll call for now the Sweat Paddock, the home base of my homeboy Ron Sweat. Yes, he's related to Keith Sweat. Yes, he is related to Marcus Allen. No, he ain't going to get you no autograph or no hookups. He ain't going to bother with it. So don't bother asking me. Don't bother asking him. Do want to thank him, though, for allowing the opportunity for us to give this space for y'all for the next couple of weeks to do that with. We may even do a show out of my mother-in-law's basement at some point before we get back into what will be the new home for the show until Las Feliz is obviously able to open back up once this pandemic subsides. Definitely great to be coming back at y'all. Obviously, many of you out there know coming back at y'all with a little bit of a heavy heart on my end. We'll get into that a little bit more, of course, once we're done with our normal shenanigans and show introductions to lead things off here. But definitely great to be back at y'all. It was kind of a little bit of a teaser, I feel, for me and my main man when we did the guest appearance on the Portside Pod. And thank you again, by the way, to our man, Alex Jensen, for giving us the opportunity to do that and have this, I guess, as our summer camp equivalent of us getting back into the mix of things. But definitely great to be back on. Definitely looking forward to recapping and previewing Oakland Athletics baseball once again in what's going to be really a very crazy and wacky shortened 2020 season. Basically, I've referred to it kind of as wacky baseball 2020. Think of the wacky races, I guess you can say, but in baseball format at this point with this year. And yeah, things are going to definitely be interesting in regards to talking about that with not just what's happened in the last 2 weeks, but I think as the entire season goes forward. And that's, of course, if, God forbid the season doesn't get stopped at some point by this damn pandemic, because there were a lot of craziness going on, which we'll get into as things go on further in this show. But let's go ahead and not forget that I am not alone for this return of your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics, as we are, of course, joined by the other half of Internet Radio's most dynamic duel. Still there? Can you hear me, boss? Oh, yeah. Okay, good to go. He is still there. Checking in from the boss pad over in Alameda is the main man, the boss man. Boss, what's up?
Oh, man, nothing but a little bit. Watch a little NBA basketball. The Lakers are getting absolutely shellacked, but whatever. And it's nice to have some sports back. I mean, during this pandemic, I can tell you this, man, shit got boring. I mean, you can watch all of the Ozark episodes, all of the Power or Snowfall or whatever damn series you like to watch. Man, eventually you're going to get bored, man. So, I'm happy baseball is back up for now. You got the NBA. Hell, it was so bad. I was watching soccer. Yes, I was watching was it the MLS and the FA Cup or whatever the hell that shit is in England. I was that bored. I need to see some competition, man. So, I'm just chilling here now, maxing, relaxing or whatever. But, it's just crazy, guys, how much the world has changed that fast. You in the beginning of March, we're thinking of the end of, the NBA season, college basketball, and all these other planned trips, at least with my family, planned trips to go out of state, out of the country. And let me tell you something, that all got nixed fast, didn't it? got nixed real fast. So it just goes to show you, man, life goes all kind of tricks and all kind of little nooks and little curve dagger roads, man, for you. You just really never know. It's like it's such an unpredictable life, and you got to adjust on the fly. That's what a lot of us are doing. So, big ups to everybody, man, who's been hanging in there. As we've seen, over 155,000, I don't know the number now, 55,000 people have died from COVID-19. Let's just make sure you're not one. Lather up, lather them hands up with that sanitizer, wear that mask, stay away from your people. Don't even I don't even shake people's hands, man. I haven't shook anybody's hands in so long. You got accustomed to it, especially in my line of work. You shake people's hands. I've had family members come in town. I'm not hugging them. COVID don't discriminate. It's knocking a lot of people down. So you just try to stay strong in these times, and until there's a vaccine, shit, man, life is going to be quite different for a while. But outside of that, man, I'm cool. Got my health and my strength, got my job. I can't complain, my man. Can't complain.
And for the record, I can definitely attest to some of the precautions and stuff that Boss kind of laid out to you that he's taking on his end. When we met up for the guest appearance in the Portside Pod with Alex Jensen, he literally, the moment I stepped right in the car, pointed right to a bottle of hand sanitizer, and he's like, "Hey, you already know." And I looked at him like, "Dude, I already know. If this were my car, I'd be having to do the same thing." So, yeah, it's definitely a whole different world out there since the last time we came at y'all for a broadcast on the corner of 5th Avenue and East 12th Street back on March the 12th of this year. And before we get in, of course, to our normal shenanigans on this very late opening week and 2-week recap edition of the show. God, it's just so weird that we're recapping opening week, in July, August, but that's what happened this year. Obviously, tonight's show dedicated to two groups out there, or basically a group of people and an individual that was very close to not just my family, but the show as well. First off, of course, the group that we had already intended on this show being dedicated to when we came back finally at y'all. Boss kind of hinted at a little bit, and that is, of course, everyone out there that has been affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Just like he said, this virus is not discriminating who it touches out there. I mean, there's people out there that we know either indirectly or to some extent directly that have been affected by this. And want to give a quick shout out to a gentleman out there by the name of Justin. Many of you out there on Twitter will know who I'm talking about. Justin's an individual who contracted the virus right around the time that we shut down and pretty much everything else started shutting down out there. He's recovered. He's still having lingering effects from it. He's actually started a coalition, or basically a group of with fellow survivors to basically get awareness out there in regards to the virus. And like I said, Boss hinted at it, pointed out, this doesn't discriminate people, and it's almost 155, 160K here in the States. Damn near 600 to 700,000 K or more around the world. I mean, this is something that is just taking the world by storm pretty much at this point. And, who knows when the end in sight is. My baseline, and really I feel the only baseline a lot of us can use for this would be the Spanish flu pandemic, which would be 2 years. And it could even be longer than that if certain things play out and certain individuals are allowed to still be in charge. But I don't want to really get too much into the politic aspect of that, or we're going to have all sorts of, who knows what stuff going on. We can save that for another time, another place, never show, maybe a show with Tad at some point down the road, but y'all can catch my drift out there with that. And, just definitely a crazy different world out there. Boss, a little bit of your thoughts on that before we get on to the second individual that tonight's show is dedicated to.
Oh, man, well, I know people directly that contracted it, like a number of people, and one of the people who I know is my Uncle Billy, his brother, who's not my uncle because Uncle Billy is my mom's brother-in-law, so my cousin, that's their dad, but he just lost a brother last week. Coronavirus, man, died in Florida. It's not a joke, man. I mean, you heard about the 9-year-old dying in Florida of COVID, the 11-year-old. It's just really a tough time. I mean, you saw people tripping out over toilet paper and shit, at your local Trader Joe's or Safeway, man, or Lucky's, whatever. It's just really crazy to see this really go on. And to think that the trauma and trifleness of everything that we saw over the last 5 months, a lot of it could have been avoided. It really could have. We've had bad leadership from a number of people, and a lot of naive people not listening. I mean, you look at the NBA player, what was his name, Rudy Gobert. Remember, he set it off for the NBA. He was the first person to get it. And they had a little bit of an outbreak. People had to be quarantined and all that other crazy stuff because he thought it was a joke. Well, it's not a joke. I have a close friend of mine. He had it. Told me he felt like somebody was sitting on his lung. I asked you, have you guys ever seen how a lung looks of a dead person who died of coronavirus? Looking like straight up bit off charcoal. It's just disgusting, man. Super disgusting. You know, people telling me they couldn't breathe. When they ate, they couldn't really taste. I mean, you know, all those symptoms, even if you can, you know, recover from it, because they talk about, oh, you get it, you can recover from it. Well, let me tell you this, though. I don't want to feel them symptoms. They say, oh, it's just like the common flu. I'm like, have any of you motherfuckers ever had the flu before? I don't know about you, Keith, but the flu is not fun.
Nope.
Flu is trash. Nope. So why would I even want to catch the flu? I see people out here, I'm not going to wear a mask. They're not going to infringe on my freedom and slavery. And you got a bunch of morons like them folks up in Michigan going to the state capitol asking for the governor while they got damn, you know, AR-15s or whatever. I mean, this shit became out of control at some point. And then, you know, on the flip side, you had people who were such sticklers about it. Don't come near me. Oh, here's this shit. Be crazy. Like, I seen somebody in line, right, at CVS over there, or they're about to let go in Oakland. And the line is going through one of the aisles, so somebody's just trying to look at, I don't know, I think it was a piece of candy, see what he wanted to get. And the lady was like, hey, you gotta be back away. You know, like, guys, look, if somebody's just coming real quick to try to go grab something, as long as they're not standing next to you and allowing for stuff to jump on you, you need to chill out. So, I mean, in both directions, I mean, it was a trip. Interestingly enough, you know, our own president, that was just a debacle. I mean, daily you had to listen in on the shit he said because you couldn't believe it. The dude suggested taking that hydroxychloroquine or whatever it's called, chloroquine, and come to find out, that's not a good thing to go take because it doesn't cure it. He talked about disinfectants. You know, he said he was doing a great job, but the death toll was just rising. And then we had it kind of flatten for a minute, then it rose back up again. I mean, I think we haven't even touched on this yet, Keith, and I'll be into this in a second. The number of people that lost their jobs, tragic. Absolutely tragic. People are getting laid off. Like, Las Vegas is a mess. It's going to take Las Vegas 5 years to come back. Vegas has people being laid off left and right. Buffets can't be open. Clubs can't be open. Pool parties are at a bare minimum. It's just god-awful what has happened. I mean, this has brought America to its knees. And because it's brought it to its knees, it's going to make the next, probably 80-something days really interesting before this election comes. So, you know, again, stay safe, follow the rules, and we'll be okay.
One other thing I wanted to mention as well before we move on to who the second individual is that tonight's broadcast is dedicated to is I'm not going to put the person individually on blast or name him, but there is someone we know out there, ladies and gentlemen, who sits in the bleachers that contracted it and is right now on the road to recovering from stuff. So, yeah, again, it's no joke. You know, literally it's mask it or casket at this point, or, you know, maybe not casket, but, you know, you're dealing with something that you might have to deal with some long-term serious effects to. And, you know, it's still in the early stages of us trying to figure out and understand what the actual causes are and how to contain it and how to combat it and whatnot. So, just, it's not worth the risk, people. Do what you got to do to make sure that you're safe out there and do what you got to do to not contract this. The second individual, of course, that this broadcast is dedicated to tonight, and I do want to apologize, obviously, in advance if I get a little bit emotional, obviously, in regards to who the second person is that this show's dedicated to. Some of you are obviously aware of it by now, but for those of you that are not aware of it, back on July 20th, about 5:30 in the morning, there was an arson fire that was lit at a apartment complex up in Reno, Nevada, basically area south of the downtown area. I believe it's referred to as the as Midtown or something like that. I think not too far from like where some of the Hot August Night stuff happens or whatnot. But basically, 5:30 in the morning, a arson fire was lit, and it just so happens that this apartment complex that this arson fire was lit at is the same apartment complex that my parents, my brother, my aunt, and my uncle were residing at up there in Reno. My parents made it out. My dad suffered a very severe smoke inhalation. He's still coughing his, ass up at this point. Hacking up like a mofo because of how much smoke he suffered. He was on a respirator for a few days after this happened as well. My mother suffered a broken ankle, some cuts, some minor burns, I believe, and a couple other injuries that I just can't remember at this point in time just because of all the chaoticness of everything that went down that day. My brother was on a respirator as well. He was over in the other unit that him, my aunt, and my uncle were living in. He suffered some minor cuts, burns, scratches, as did my uncle. Two of the family dogs they had up there, Callie and Athena, did not survive. And also, unfortunately, my aunt, 51-year-old Diana Inkstrom, did not survive the fire, as well as did another resident as well, a 7-year-old female who also did not survive the fire, based on from what I've heard from testimony from eyewitness accounts from my brother and my uncle right after they got out and before my aunt could get out to basically get out of the house. There was some sort of a backdraft or an explosion, and they unfortunately never saw her after that. She was found not too far from basically where she was last seen by my uncle and brother before they got out. And pretty much within the hours of all this happening, the individual that did set the fire was caught, apprehended. He's been charged with 2 counts, first-degree murder, first-degree arson, and I forgot I'm trying to remember what the third count was. I believe it was false imprisonment with a deadly weapon because he basically used his wife as a getaway driver at knife point while he did all this stuff. When got the fuel, went over there to lit the fuel, or doused fuel, lit the place on fire. And this whole thing, basically my aunt and another individual were senselessly murdered because this guy owed someone $400, and just completely heartbreaking, shattering, maddening, infuriating, and just a huge tragedy that's really impacted my family. And for someone like me, my aunt was basically the person that got me to be an Oakland A's fan, going out with her and her ex-husband to games in the late 80s when I was, growing up 2 or 3 years old. They had season tickets in, the late 80s when those powerhouse A's teams were getting ready to go on their World Series runs and whatnot. So really it's because of my aunt, to some extent, that you have what you all know as Corporal Rightfield Asshole in front of you all these years later. And, it's not going to be the same for me going to A's games because of that. But at the same time, it's not going to stop me from going. I'm going to go as a way to be part of the healing process, obviously, when we all can go to games again and whatnot. But, yeah, man, just it's been a real crazy and almost nightmarish week for myself and my family. And, Boss, I know you only got the chance to meet my aunt, I think, a couple of times. Same with my uncle as well, but you're very familiar with my parents and my brother, and I know that you, as well as many others, were just, completely shocked when the news of this dropped.
Man, because, forget sports, man. Obviously, we're connected with sports, the love for Oakland and the East Bay. Something like that puts life in perspective. All this other shit is not important. What's important are the people you love, people who help form the personality or the persona that you have, your likes and dislikes. A lot of stuff comes from your family members, for most people. I know it does for myself. And, when you told me that, I just thought of, people I'm close to, my immediate family, thought of my father, thought of my mother, thought of my aunts that I'm real close to. And that fear, that feeling of fear when your chest gets hollow, like, oh my God, it hits you. And you think, man, what if that was me? And tragedies do happen. I mean, there's been situations with family members that have happened that have been national news for me, These things sadly happen. And you ask God, why? Or you just ask yourself, why? Why is this happening? And you just don't understand it. The young man who had his issue, and this is for anybody listening out there, over $400, because you were scared to pay up. You brought multiple people involved to your bullshit because you didn't want to pay. Probably because you're a meth head, a junkie, or whatever. This is another prime example, people, why you don't need to do drugs. You just don't need drugs. If you got drug-addled mind, made him think that burning down a fucking place was going to save him from owing $400. Now you owe your ass in the state penitentiary. You by Reno, they're probably going to send you to Love Lot over there. And, good luck over there, man. You're going to get down here and do your time. You can't blame anybody. You can't blame the system or your parents are messed up. My dad whooped my ass. No. You made the decision to involve innocent people that didn't know or care about your existence. You brought them into your mess. And you killed two dogs, too. Like, those dogs didn't bother you. Dogs didn't care about you, man. Killed a child as well. A young girl.
Older woman. It was a 70-year-old female that died as well.
70. Excuse me. Still though, 70? Yeah, when I'm 70, I'm still trying to live till I'm 90. 100. You're taking life away. You're not God. You don't decide who gets to live and who gets to die. So, my heart goes out to you and your family. That is unimaginable to even put that in your mind to how you would deal with that. I know you're a strong guy. I know you come from some strong-willed people, and you've dealt with this. So I just want to give you a lot of props for you dealing with this, man, as best as you could, because we all take a moment, to ourselves, kind of let the emotions out, because people you love, when they go, they're gone. I never forget my father when I got 18 years of age when I was in high school. He said, "This is the part in life where you lose people." Like, damn, and you lose people by whatever means, murder, natural causes, or whatever. It's so many ways to leave this planet, man, and it happens, and you got to make the best moments you can with your loved ones. I know your auntie was a big influence on you, Keith. She's a big time A's fan, got you up into the A's, and we just hope and pray that God takes care of you and your family, helps you guys heal. You'll never really get over it, but hopefully you get to heal and your hearts are not so heavy in the days coming. And the A's, hopefully they take it on in the short season for Diana.
Definitely, no doubt on that. And for those wondering, myself, the A's, and the gang, of course, that make up WTFBrian.com do have something in the works that we are currently working on in regards to that we're going to hopefully be debuting here in the coming weeks. Obviously, kind of limited by what we can do because of the shortened season and the pandemic this year, but there is stuff that is being planned out to obviously honor her at some point and somehow during this season, and obviously around the time that the 1 year anniversary takes place in 2021, should obviously there be fans allowed back in the ballpark at that point in time. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join us in a moment of silence for all those affected by the coronavirus pandemic and my aunt, Diana Engstrom. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, for those of you that were wondering, as a result of what happened to my aunt, if you haven't been following along to why we have been using it, that is, of course, the reasoning behind the hashtag win for Diana and hashtag WFD that you guys have been seeing accompanying a lot of our tweets and posts out there. Specifically, of course, obviously, when the A's win a game, we throw that in now, of course, as part of the Victory for Oakland post. And definitely be sure to keep your eyes peeled to our Twitter page and our Facebook pages for when the news drops in regards to what the A's, myself, and the gang over at WTFBrian.com have planned. If those of you that are not familiar with them, they're, of course, the guys that made the Baseball's Last Dive Bar t-shirt, which, of course, I happen to be wearing right now. So kind of a little inadvertent promotional shout-out for those guys as well. Make sure as well get a hold of a Battle of the Bang t-shirt since the Astros happen to be in town. We'll, of course, be previewing that a little later in the broadcast. And we're going to go ahead, and with how long this little intro and beginning of the show took, I figure might as well be nice to give you all a quick little 3 to 5 minute break. So we're going to go ahead and take our first intermission break, whatever the hell you want to call it, of the night for us and the morning/afternoon for y'all when this airs. When we come back, it's time for the normal shenanigans here on A's Talk from the Fans' Point of View as we begin to recap the first 2 weeks of Oakland Athletics baseball. Don't go anywhere, folks. Internet radio's most dynamic duel will be right back at you in a bit here on the Return from Quarantine edition of your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics. Show number 269 of A's Fan Radio coming right back at you in a bit. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Return from Quarantine edition, show number 269 of your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics. As I'm getting all tongue twisted, again, kind of crazy thing going on here on my end, obviously. But yeah, the Return from Quarantine edition, show number 269 of your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics, A's Fan Radio. Tonight's broadcast, of course, is dedicated to all of those that have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic. And, of course, my Aunt Diana Engstrom, who was murdered in an arson fire back on July the 20th up in Reno, along with another 70-year-old female. And, of course, as mentioned, it was a fire that my brother, my parents, and my uncle barely made it out of. So, man, it easily could have been a lot worse than it was, but definitely glad that, members of the family did make it out of there. It is, of course, Internet radio's most dynamic duel, or for shortened down purposes, I guess you can just call us the dynamic duel if you want to, either or, it doesn't matter. It is the dynamic duel, the legally 5150 corporate rifled asshole, coming at you from the sweat paddock temporarily for the next couple editions of the show until we get everything finalized and set up and the Wi-Fi hooked up at the new Dub 6 Studios, which actually isn't too far from the sweat paddock, mind you. We're basically up in the hills with basically a Batman's view of the Coliseum. It's basically almost the equivalent, basically, of looking over Gotham City if you were Batman up on a skyscraper. So, yeah, we got the Corporal up here in the Oakland Hills, main man, the Boss Man, down there at the Boss Pad in Alameda. And, man, Boss, I definitely missed being away. You definitely ready to get back into what we normally do here, my friend?
Man, come on, man. Ain't no time like the present, brother. Come on, let's get with it.
Let's go ahead and do that. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back into our normal shenanigans that we do here in the first half, first hour, first half, whatever you want to do. It's probably going to be more than a first hour. So the first half of tonight's broadcast, and that's probably will carry over into the second half since we got to recap 2 weeks worth of stuff. Let's go ahead and begin looking at the last 2 weeks worth of Oakland Athletics baseball. We, of course, will begin things with the opening series to this shortened 60-game 2020 season. A season, of course, that for your Oakland Athletics began on Friday, July the 24th at Rickey Henderson Field at the Ring Central Coliseum. The A's opened up at home, of course, against the team they were scheduled to open up against originally, had the season played out like it normally was, or had it was supposed to have played out before this whole bug threw a wrench into everything, the Anaheim Angels. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look back to what went down on Friday, July the 24th at Rickey Henderson Field. The first scoring of this contest would be done by both the A's and the Angels, when the Angels would score their first run in the top of the fourth, and the A's would get their first run across in the bottom of that fourth inning. There wouldn't be any scoring again until about 3 innings later when the Angels would take the lead with a 1-run spot in the top of the 7th inning. Oakland would take a lead with a 2-run spot in the bottom of the 8th, but unfortunately would surrender a run to tie the game up on the Angels' end of things in the top of the 9th. With the A's, of course, unable to score in the bottom of the 9th inning, we got to see one of the many things for the very first time ever in baseball this year, and one of the reasons why I referred to this year as Wacky Baseball 2020. We got to see the first time ever that the extra inning runner on second base rule was implemented in a Major League Baseball game since its creation. Obviously, the plan is for them to only use it this season, but knowing Manfred and all these other crazy knuckleheads are probably going to try to do this shit going forward. And I don't know. I mean, it is what you got to do with this year just to get the games over quicker and I guess not have the players be there as long as needed with the pandemic going on. But down the road, man, I'm not going to know if I'm going to like the idea of this permanently going forward. Anyway, obviously, the Angels were withheld from scoring in the top of the 10th inning in this one. While meanwhile, the A's would work things in the bottom of the 10th to basically get the bases loaded. Really, all you needed at that point was a sac fly or a base hit to bring 1 run home. Matt Olson, pretty much, though, opening night, screw that. I'm going to end this game with something that hasn't been done on opening day, opening night since 1986. And that is, of course, Matt Olson ending opening night for your Oakland Athletics with a walk-off grand slam as the A's end up winning this one in extras by the final of 7-3. Oakland 7 runs, 7 hits, 1 error. Anaheim 3 runs, 7 hits, and no errors. And, of course, for those of you that might be listening the first time, if you don't understand by now, we do not call them the Los Angeles Angels because they don't play in Los Angeles. They don't even play in Los Angeles County, for crying out loud. We still call them the Anaheim Angels. So I got to make sure, every once in a while I clarify that for any new listeners that we have tuning in to the show. Again, Oakland 7 runs, 7 hits, 1 error. Anaheim 3 runs, 7 hits, and no errors in this contest. Smith picking up the win for Oakland. He improves to 1-0 on the year. Robles takes the loss for Anaheim. He falls to 0-1 on the year. Home runs in this one, first home run of the year going to none other than Razor Ramon Liriano, his first homer, of course, of the year, and obviously also getting his first home run of the year with the walk-off grand slam to win it for the A's was Matt Olson. Over on the the Angels side, you have Juan Castro hitting the lone homer for them. That was Castro's first homer of the year and the first Angels home run of 2020. Pitching into this one, you had Frankie Montas start off the game for the A's. He only went 4 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 run. That 1 run being earned 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. Then, of course, the rest of the way out, you had Petit, McFarland, Soria, Diekman. When Soria and Diekman came in, as many of you might have followed on Twitter, caused Bossman to bring out a giant bottle of Bombay Sapphire and almost torpedo himself into the ground before the night was over with. But shockingly, Soria and Diekman got the job done in their innings of work each. Hendricks, unfortunately, got tagged with a blown save in his inning of work, and then Smith came in, got an inning of work and extra, shut the door, and ended up with a win in this one. But, man, Bossman, with a lot of the craziness, and as Chris Townsend says it, the microscope that this season's going to be put under from every aspect and every angle this season. What a hell of a way to start off a season, regardless if it's shortened or not.
Well, I mean, it's always good to get flowers. It's always good to get off 1-0 in the season. You always want to put your best foot forward. And I always say on this show, beginning of the series, that first game, you want to set the tone. Well, I can't actually say the A's set the tone, but I thought that Frankie Montas pitched pretty well. I love the job done by the bullpen. Bert Smith, I thought he was pretty spectacular. We haven't seen him yet really in Oakland. I really got to really get a feel for him. I thought Liam Hendricks came in and did damn well. Before Castro hit that home run, there was an inside strike that he threw that he did not get that call, and I thought that him as an all-star closer, I thought he should have got that call. You have to give him that call. If it's on the black, that's a strike, man. That's a strike. It's not over the white of the plate. The black of the plate is part of the plate. So I don't really blame him for that because Castro, that's the kid out of Castro Valley, 33-year-old veteran. I mean, he used to play for Houston back when they first joined the AL West. But he got him a fastball, and major leaguers, if they have a fastball to get, they want to clean it up though. Okay, if they see it, they get the And when the Angels got up in the 10th, Ohtani was on second because he was the guy who got out the inning before. So he starts on second. Matt Olson makes a hell of a play. The ball hit to him sharply, throws Ohtani out, and he's able to get out the inning. And, with Marcus Semien, who has struggled, but we'll get into that later, there is an opportunity for the A's to have men on base, and we know that's going to struggle to be there with men on base. But, Olsen gets up there, Obi Milner comes in, lefty on lefty, first pitch, bye-bye. So the A's set 7-3, 1-0 with 3 other games left in the season. I think for myself, I always say, when you play the Angels, man, you always got to be ready for Mike Trout, but Mike Trout didn't go off. They have a couple of good players themselves, though, some young guys, but they're not there yet. I mean, they lost Scotia, lost with Calhoun and other guys over the years, so it's obviously not the same team. Our Pujols is there. He's dropped down the order. I just think throughout this year, I think we're going to see the A's pretty much damn near every series beat the Angels. So you should expect it at this point. They're not good. They're missing a lot. But we're lucky that Rendon wasn't playing because some of the hitting still was like, guys look like they can really hit. But we're lucky that we have a lot of power. Sometimes power, man, you know what? You either turn the lights on or turn them off.
Let's go ahead now and take a look at what went down in the second game of this 4-game series to kick off this shortened 2020 season. Saturday, July the 25th, this is what went down at Rickey Henderson Field in Oakland. First runs of the game would be scored in this one, kind of a little similar to how things went on opening night, except it would just be the Angels scoring in the first half of the fourth inning in this one. The A's didn't get anything unlike the previous night. The Angels would also score 3 runs in the top of the 5th inning before the A's would finally get their first and what would ultimately be their only run of the game across in this one in the bottom of the 7th. And that would pretty much be it for that one, as the A's would end up taking their first loss of the year relatively quickly. Second game in, they get their first L handed to them as they drop this one to the Angels by the final of 4-6. Anaheim 4 runs, 6 hits, no errors. Oakland 1 run, 6 hits, and no errors in this contest. Bundy picking up the win for the Angels. He improves to 1-0 on the year. Sean Manaea taking the loss for Oakland, falling to 0-1 on the year. Robles, of course, picking up the save for the Angels in this one, his first of the 2020 season. No home runs for your Oakland Athletics in this one. Just give me a second here. I'm pulling up the Angels side. Over on the Angels side, he had Upton hit his first homer of the year, and that ended up being the lone home run for the Angels and basically both teams in this contest. As mentioned, Manaea got the start and took the L in this one. He went 4 2/3, 5 hits, giving up 4 runs, all 4 of those runs being earned. No walks, 3 strikeouts. He did surrender 1 long ball, so he ends up with a very ugly 7.71 ERA to start off the 2020 season with. You then had Wendelken, Luzardo, and Trevino come in to basically pitch things the rest of the way out for the A's in this one. But just, man, boss, not a very good way to follow up things on opening night. Your take on Game 2 of the 2020 season?
Well, your guy Shamanaya still hasn't recovered fully, I guess, from that debacle that was the wild card game, did he? He's looking at his fastball. Man, it's like 88 on the gun. I know David Stewart post-game was talking about the velocity will come. I don't believe that's the case with Shamanaya. You guys remember Shamanaya when he first came to the A's? The guy was like throwing 95, 96 miles per hour. Man, 7 miles per hour on your fastball. That is a major, major difference in the way how a major leaguer gets to see a straight line fastball coming from him. He has to be like Greg Maddux. He has to place it so perfectly that if he misses his spot, though, it's going to go a long way. Shamanaya didn't look sharp, but he didn't look bad. What looked bad was the A's at the plate. Chris Davis, Matt Chapman, those guys were looking completely lost. Semien, he was lost as well. It just wasn't overall the kind of batting display that you would expect from this team, who's been one of the better teams in offense the last 2 years and a half, almost 3 years. The last month or two of 2017, they've been a tremendous offensive laden team. But have guys that are just hacking away and trying to make up for lost time instead of just putting, a damn round bat on a round ball hitting it square. Balls do not ball, but ball hitting it square, man, they're hacking, launch angle swinging, just stuff that annoys baseball purists such as myself. But you know what? You can't win them all. There's 60 games. After this, you have 58 left. The thing to make sure you do is win the next game and hopefully put yourself in position to take the series on Monday.
Let's go ahead and see in what would go down in the third contest of this four-game set on Sunday, July the 26th, out there in the ballpark in the Deep East. Oakland would score first in this one. They would drop a 5-run spot on the Angels in the top of the first inning. And then from that point on, the offense kind of sputtered a little bit and kind of allowed the Angels to slowly creep their way back into things. The Angels would get 3 runs in the top of the first inning and would score 1 run in the top of the 5th inning. Luckily for Oakland, though, and unfortunately for Anaheim, that would be the last run that they would score in this contest. They would get 1 run. The A's would score what would be their final run in the bottom of the 6th inning in this one. They would go on, of course, to hold the Angels to goose eggs for the final 3 innings of the contest to take the W in this one by the final of 6-4. Oakland 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Anaheim 4 runs, 9 hits, and no errors in this contest. Winning pitcher in this one, Yusmeiro Petit getting his first win of the year and improving to 1-0. The loser in this one, Shohei Ohtani, who didn't even make it out of the first inning. Boss will get to that a little bit more when he breaks down things on his end of things. Ohtani starting off the year with a 0-1 record, and Liam Hendriks slamming the door on things at the end to collect his first save of the 2020 season. Home runs in this one, the lone home run for your Oakland Athletics coming off the bat of rookie Sean Murphy, his first home run of the year, and if I'm correct, I'm trying to remember, did he hit a home run last year when he was called up, or was this his first MLB home run?
No, he had a couple. A couple.
I just want to make sure on that. I thought I remember him hitting at least a couple last year. So Murphy's first home run of the 2020 campaign. Let me pull up the Angels side of things real quick, because obviously I have to look on. I'm not using a computer monitor, by the way. If I told you all this, we're doing this little setup a little differently for this recording. I'm actually pulling this stuff up on my phone, so I have to actually flip back and forth between the A's and Athletics lineups. Only homer for the Angels in this one came off the bat of the obvious person that you would expect, other than for Albert Pujols, to go deep in this one, and that's, of course, Mike Trout going deep for the first time in 2020 in this one. Starting pitcher for your Oakland Athletics was Mike Fiers in this one, so it was the first Fiers day of 2020. Fiers went 4 innings, 7 hits given up, 4 runs, all 4 of those runs being earned, no walks, no strikeouts, 1 home run surrendered. You had Petit come in, who, of course, got an inning and ended up with the win. McFarland got an inning. Soria got an inning. Diekman 2/3 of an inning. And then Hendricks, of course, with the save in the final inning and a third in this contest. Boss, your takes on this, and especially your thoughts on a complete shelling and early exit for one Shohei Ohtani.
Well, you guys know me on Twitter. I don't call myself Bostradamus, but hell, I am Bostradamus on most things. But I did predict that Shohei Ohtani was not going to have a good outing. The man has not pitched since 2018, coming off that Tommy John injury. There's no way that guy was going to have any sharpness in pitching to the A's lineup. I mean, he was off from the first batter on. He's walking guys. I mean, it was time to take him out even before he even got to 4-0. I think Joe Madden waited too late. That pretty much cost him a chance to maybe win this game. But I was happy with that. I was not happy, though, after putting up a 5 spot. You only got 1 more run. I mean, you're playing with fire when you do that. You never stop playing. Your offense has to keep mowing out hits, because in the game of baseball with no clock, nobody's truly ever out of the game. Never, ever, ever. Don't assume it. Do not assume it. So, you are 2-1 on the season. And it was great to see Murphy get that home run. I mean, he belted. Was it 457 feet? I mean, he got a hold of it. It was a hanger, and it was a pretty swing. And he really shows that he has a lot of power. I've not seen power like that out of an A's catcher. I mean, I don't want to, dare I say, Terry Steinbach. I mean, when's the last time we've had a catcher have that kind of raw power? We haven't. Not like that. So that was
Yeah, I was
impressive.
going to say you really do have to basically go back to Terry Steinbach. I mean, Suzuki showed flashes of it, but never really got it fully
Not like
developed.
that.
And then
No.
pretty much with Jason Kendall, he never really hit a damn home run to begin with. At least when he got to us, So yeah, really, you do got to damn near go all the way back almost to Steinbach on that. But go ahead and continue, boss.
Yeah. So Mike Fiers, I thought outside of the three strike, I thought he pitched pretty doggone well. This is one of those times when he does. He's a home run pitcher. Pretty much people they catch his fastball, which is not the best fastball in the world, but I think he understands placement and he has some good secondary pitches that really keep people off balance. But hey, it is what it is, man. But you 2-1 at this point, guys. We got to eke out wins. We have to win by any means necessary because things are going to be close and tight in the race, man. I mean, there's going to be a point where we're playing 2 weeks worth of baseball. Then there's going to be 1 week where we stink, and it's like, oh no. You got your second win. Mike Trout has not really went off on you yet, so you feel good going into an afternoon game on Monday.
Definitely no doubt on that. Let's go ahead and before we take our next break of the night, let's go ahead and see what happened in the finale of this 4-game set with the Anaheim Angels as the A's, of course, closed out this one with Anaheim at the Coliseum on Monday, July the 27th. Well, pretty easy day pretty much for this one as all the scoring in this one was done by your Oakland Athletics. 2 runs in the bottom of the third, 1 run in the bottom of the fourth. That's pretty much all they needed in this one as they held the Angels to 9 big, fat, round zeros throughout the whole course of this contest and got the W to seal the deal and, of course, seal their first series victory of the 2020 season as they defeat the Angels in this one by the final of 3-0. Oakland 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors. Anaheim no runs, 9 hits, and no errors in this contest. Smith picking up the win in this one as he improves to 2-0 on the year. Canning picks up the loss in this one for the Angels, falling to 0-1 on the year, and Joaquin Soria picks up his first save of the 2020 season. Home runs in this one, a person who's familiar to many of you, of course, out there. He, of course, was the player that we got to interview, of course, before the wild card game last year. Local kid, UC Berkeley alumni. I'm, of course, talking about none other than the bat flipping season extraordinaire himself, Mark Canha, going deep for the first time in 2020. Only home run, of course, for the A's in this one. No homers on the Angels side of things in this contest. Pitching-wise for the A's, Chris Bassett got the start, 4 innings in this one, 5 hits given up, no runs earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, before he gave way to Smith, McFarland, Petit, Diekman, and Soria in this one. So, boss, definitely, I feel a great way to kick off and end things with this 4-game set to begin the series and begin the 2020 season.
I agree. And even though the A's did not show the offensive prowess we've come to expect from them, the A's pitching has been stellar through these first 4 games. The bullpen has been tremendous and just lights out. I mean, you're seeing Diekman and Soria and guys, Bert Smith and Petit and DJ McFarland. You see in the first series that the A's feel, and I knew it was going into the year, they felt strong about their bullpen, and they displayed why over that first series. I was very happy to see Mr. Bat Flipper himself, the sensation out of San Jose, get on the board with his first homer of the year. I mean, Canning threw him right in his wheelhouse, and Mark Canha has the strength and athleticism and the good eye to make any pitcher pay, righty or lefty. So that was encouraging. I don't like that we're not hitting the baseball. When you look at somebody like Chris Davis, oh my God! I mean, you see these donut eggs? You see the strikeouts? It's crazy. Matt Olson, he's messing up. He had some opportunities himself with runners in scoring position. He did not knock them in. Going forward, that has to stop. If it doesn't stop, you're going to get your feelings hurt later on in the year. Sure, it's great to get into the postseason, but man, when you get in the postseason, you got to perform. And when runners are in scoring position, you got to make teams pay. That'll be a theme throughout the rest of the year.
Definitely no doubt on that one. We're going to go ahead and take our next commercial break of the night, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and squeeze two series into the final segment of the first half of tonight's broadcast. One series, of course, that was extremely ugly, and then another series, which, of course, started off a little ugly and then turned out to be a lot better than many of us initially thought. So it's a tale of completely two different Oakland Athletics teams. When we come back at you, we, of course, got a lot more to come at you with remaining games in this 2-week recap edition of the show. Take a look ahead, of course, what the A's have over the course of the next week, and, of course, as well, the standings from the first 2 weeks of the Major League Baseball season. And for those of you, of course, wondering how we're going to do a fan question of the night for this show, well, Boss and I figured that one out. We're going to go ahead and go back over a post on Facebook and a tweet on Twitter that he put up a couple weeks before the season that many of y'all responded to, and I guess that will go ahead and qualify fulfilling the fan question of the night for this edition of the show. So go ahead, sit back and relax. We'll be right back at you in a little bit here before we close out things in the first half of the show. Coming right back at you here in a little bit with show number 269, the Return from Quarantine edition of A's Fan Radio. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to get into the final segment of the first half of tonight's broadcast, our return broadcast from damn near almost a 5-month hiatus. This is the longest hiatus the show's had since the 4 years it went into hiatus, jokingly because of me joining the Marine Corps. So a little bit of unfortunate delayed AFR history, but nonetheless, we're back at you. Glad to be back at you, and definitely looking forward to coming back at you over the course of this shortened 2020 season. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to show number 269, the Return from Quarantine edition of A's Fan Radio. Tonight's broadcast, of course, dedicated to all out there that have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic, and my Aunt Diana Engstrom, who was murdered in an arson fire back on July the 20th. It is Internet Radio's most dynamic duel coming at you for this edition of the show. Legally 5150 Corporal Rifle Asshole, of course, coming at you from up in the hills above the Coliseum at the Sweat Paddock. And, of course, the main man, the boss man, coming at you from the Boss Pad over in Alameda. Let's get set to go ahead and close out things here on the first half of tonight's show with the ongoing normal shenanigans that we do in the first half of the show, which is recapping the last week's worth of Oakland Athletics baseball. But, of course, in this case, since we didn't do a show last week, it's the last 2 weeks of Oakland Athletics baseball. So we of course, come back at you for the from the 7th inning stretch. We're still going to have a few games to recap. We're going to go and squeeze 2 series into this segment since there was a 2-game series and a 3-game series after the home opener. We will begin, of course, with that 2-game series that closed out the homestand to begin the 2020 season, as the A's would host a National League West team early on here. Obviously, for those of you that somehow aren't familiar with the way they're doing things this year, 40 of the 60 games for the A's will be against AL West opponents, and the other 20 games will be split up against National League opponents. This was pretty much set up this way, so that way there was not a whole bunch of traveling across the country and the risks of teams getting contaminated by the virus. But, of course, we saw the Marlins, the Cardinals, and a couple other teams obviously kind of didn't follow things, and we'll get more into that, of course, when we get to the standings, because we're going to have to break that down, obviously, to explain why some of the standings are going to be as wacky as they are. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look now at how things played out on Tuesday, July the 28th at Rickey Henderson Field, when the A's played the first game in a quick 2-game series with the NL West's Colorado Rockies. Colorado and Oakland would each score a run apiece to begin things in this one, with both teams scoring single runs in the 3rd inning. The Rockies would pile on, though, with 2 runs in the top of the 4th and 2 runs in the top of the 5th before the A's would squeak out one measly minor run in the bottom of the 5th inning. Neither team would score again until the 8th inning, where we would see the Rockies have a 3-run spot, and the A's yet again would just score one measly, inky-dinky, single-digit run in this one. And that would be it for this one, as the Rockies would take the first game of this 2-game series by the final of 8-3. Colorado, 8 runs, 13 hits, 1 error. Oakland, 3 runs, 8 hits, and no errors in this contest. Sinzatadel, I'm guessing that's how the name's pronounced, getting the win for the Rockies in this one. He improves to 1-0. Daniel Migden taking the loss for Oakland this one. He falls to 0-1 on the season. No home runs for your A's in this one. Over on the Rockies side, you had Hillard hitting the lone homer for the Rockies in this one, and that, of course, was Hillard's first home run of the 2020 campaign. Migden, of course, as mentioned, taking the L in this one. 4 innings, 5 hits, giving up 3 runs, all 3 of those runs being earned. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a home run surrendered before giving way to Weems, Trevino, and Wendelken the rest of the way out. Weems not pitching too bad. 3 innings, obviously getting tacked around a little bit, understandable for a rookie, but for the most part, looked not too bad out there in his debut. But obviously, I think many of us out there, I think at this point, might be getting a little bit tired of the Daniel Migden experiment in the starting rotation. Maybe time to just move him to the bullpen, or maybe just ship him out altogether. But definitely a frustrating night for the A's and A's fans out there, and it was definitely a very frustrating night for Internet Radio's most dynamic duel. Looking at this one, Boss, your take on this first contest of the 2-game Rocky series?
Man, I mean, that was a depressing game to even watch. Chris Davis is at this point it's over 15 on the season, dude. We don't have time to wait for you to get your head right, to figure out how to be the guy that you were before the injury in Pittsburgh. I don't get it. You come into the plate. There's definitely a hole in his swing. There's also a hole in his mental because he looks defeated. Guys are challenging him with 2 strikes. They're throwing it right down the pipe. They don't think he can catch up to it. They don't think if he gets contact, then it's going to do that much damage. I look in that game, the A's with runner in scoring position were terrible, but look how many men were left on base, period. There's just too many men, and I think there's 8 people left on base, and Chris Davis, man, had a big part in that, though, man. A huge part. There were some points in that game where, okay, if we just get a base hit here, it'll put us in position to maybe take this game or to take the lead or whatever. The A's just could not come through. Just could not. They got embarrassed. You guys got to realize, just don't think the Rockies are really a garbage team just because they were disappointing last year. They were a very good team in 2018. Matter of fact, kicked the crap out of us, as you remember, in Denver. We went out there and got swept or what have you. The A's bounced back pretty well, but the Rockies are a team that has a lot of talent. I mean, you have the Dave Dahl kid, you have the Charlie Blackmon, you got Arenado, Dave Murphy, the veteran is there. You have guys that can make it happen on baseball dive, especially at the plate. They got a good offense. I mean, if you look at their current record now, this series shouldn't surprise you if a team is not on their P's and Q's. And the A's were. And I agree with you. Daniel Migden, I don't know if the experiment needs to end as far as him being Oakland Athletic. I think he, like Chris Bassett, are long relievers. Daniel Migden is somebody who can help you in potentially a playoff series or down the stretch of the season because he can be a spot starter or he can come in long relief. But if you think he's going to be a starter for you, no. The little guy just does not have starter stuff. He has never had it. He helped us last year and the year before. I'm always thankful for that. I don't want to knock anybody who plays Major League Baseball because I don't have the ability to throw an 85-mile-per-hour fastball. I might reach 70-something, but I ain't going to reach the 80s, guys. I'm just going to be honest with myself, though. But that experiment doesn't need to end because the guy's not going to get it done. We have a shortened season. Everything is magnified. So when it comes to starting pitching, got to get that together, evidently. If you go up against the good teams, and you have to get the hitting together. I mean, I look at Olsen not doing much, Simeon not doing much, Chapman not really doing much. Those things have to stop. You're 5 games into the season, and the offense looks bewildered and look lost.
Definitely did look lost in that one, and obviously, a lot of you out there saw myself and Boss voicing our frustration after this one on social media, and obviously some out there, bringing up the whole, it's early, they're notorious for a slow start. It's like, and we're both telling y'all we can't afford to do that this year. And it was very reassuring and appreciative with me that Tuesday night calling into the post-game show over on A's Cast and hearing our good friend Chris Townsend basically echoing and saying the same thing that we're out there posting on social media. And it's like, that should speak volumes to people right there, man. If Townie and, the pros out there are sitting there are seeing the same things we are, it's understandable. And, Townie, again, is the one that, I first heard mention putting this whole thing under a microscope, and he's right. And it's fully understandable, which is why it would lead to why I think for some of us, and especially even my main man here, we thought the first game of this two-game series was stressful. I feel that the second game might have been even a little bit more stressful. Here's what went down in the finale of this two-game series between Oakland and Colorado on Wednesday, July the 29th. Oakland would score first in this one, ladies and gentlemen, as they would get one run across in the bottom of the first inning. Unfortunately for our beloved green and gold, that would be the only run that they would end up scoring in this one. The Rockies, on the other hand, though, they would get one run in the top of the second, one run in the bottom of the fourth. Looking here else, one run in the top of the eighth, and their final two runs in the top of the ninth. And that's pretty much what they would need right there is they bury the Oakland Athletics, I guess you could say. Well, not maybe bury them, but basically shut the door in the A's face in this one and beat them by the final of 5-1 and take a quick little two-game sweep to kind of put a little bit of a sour note on what was a kind of exciting start to this early homestand at the Coliseum. Colorado, 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Oakland, 1 run, 5 hits, and 1 error in this contest. Win going to Marquez in this one. He improves to 1-1 on the year for Colorado. While you had Montas take the loss, he falls to 0-1 on the year for Oakland in this one. Home runs in this one, you did have Matt Chapman go deep for the first time in 2020. Obviously, it doesn't really matter that much if the only person that you drive in is yourself, and that ends up accounting for the only run of the game in this one. No homers for the Rockies in this one. I guess they just obviously were able to beat the A's with just a little bit more traditional baseball, while the A's just didn't really do much of anything outside of 5 hits and strand a whole bunch of guys on base, which we've complained about on this show since it started 17 years ago. So, unfortunately, nothing new from us on that end. Montas in this one, 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs given up, both those runs earned, 2 walks and 3 strikeouts, while also having Luzardo and Petit pitch in this one. So, yeah, just, man, very sour note to end this homestand on before getting ready to head up north to the 206.
Oh man, very disappointing. I mean, you're feeling good after being 3-1, then you're 3-3. You get embarrassed. I mean, the Rockies came in there and they punked the A's, man. They put their foot on their couch and grabbed the food off their table and didn't apologize for it. Well, guys, here we are. We're in the Major League season. You're in August, so just think of yourself in a divisional race right now, and it's really tight. Every loss becomes more crucial as we creep closer to the finish line at the beginning of October or late September, whatever game 60 is. 0 for 6 runners in scoring position. Again, 8 men left on base. I mean, you're asking to lose when you do that. Seriously. I mean, we can blame Bob Melvin, we can blame whoever, but these guys are getting up in that batter's box. They got to make something happen. Can't be sitting there looking, and I get sick of watching a guy like Herman Marquez. He ain't those 96, 97 miles per hour. He knows that when there's 2 strikes, he's throwing gas, and the A's can't catch up to it. Now, Chapman caught up to a gas that was kind of chest high, and he took it out here. So he gets props from me on that. You get your kudos. You got a lot of credit, man. You're a badass. But still, when the money time came, the A's couldn't get a simple punch and Judy single. It does wonders, people. We're taught in Little League. Get contact on the ball. When you're down, a couple runs, you don't have to try to get them back to one swing. Man, put some pressure on the defense on the pitcher, man. Make that manager have to go into his bullpen early. And they were able to get some insurance runs by virtue of Charlie Blackmon just being the talented stud that he is. He hasn't hit as great this year, but still. That's what the teams do. They get him a couple extra runs, so just in case if somebody gets on base and a wrong mistake is made and the game is tied, you can avoid that in case that mistake comes. And they took you to it. They took it to you. Now you got to go to Seattle, where we historically have not played well at. Seattle did not have the best of series themselves to start the year, but who cares? They always a game to beat the A's. I mean, there's not going to be fans there, but they used to see a lot of A's fans at the games, and hey, they always like to, take one for, take a few away from the A's and have the A's be rewarded. I've seen it many times, and I won't lie to you guys. I was a little fearful coming into that series up in the 206 just because of the past, and it happened too much and too often up there.
And of course, many of you out there who know me and a certain individual that we all know who lives up in that way. Of course, as soon as the first game or the day of the first game of this 4-game series, I think before going into the commercial break, I said 3-game series. My apologies. This series in the 206 is a 4-game series, so my bad for that. Right away, of course, first thing in the morning, myself and our good friend Dre 206 up there in Seattle began our traditional engagement of smack talking back and forth with each other, like we always do when our teams end up engaging each other on the baseball battlefield. This one, of course, taking place up in the 206. For those of you, of course, that don't know, the A's broadcasting team not going up for that trip, obviously. Everything being done remotely, pretty much when the teams are on the road. And it's funny because one of the things I asked the post-game show, if y'all didn't know, Townie's basically doing his thing from his house. You got Cody Ellis doing stuff from Alameda. The producers and executive producers and everything, the engineers are at the old executive offices of the Coliseum. And while the team was playing up in Seattle, you, of course, had the radio play-by-play and the TV play-by-play basically doing their normal gig from the Coliseum, watching the stuff on monitors. But big contours out there to the editors and the producers and all that stuff, because it really all sounds edited together and everything on the TV and radio side like everybody was up there in Seattle. But let's get past all that and, of course, get to the technicalities and the breakdown of what happened in the first game of this 4-game series on Friday, July the 31st, between your Oakland Athletics and the Seattle Mariners up at what I believe is now called T-Mobile Park up there in Seattle. Seattle would score first in this contest when they would score the first runs of the game in the bottom of the 4th inning, a 3-run spot for them in that 4th inning. They would also score 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning, and those 2 runs would be their final runs of the game in this contest. Oakland would get some runs late in this one, 3 runs in the top of the 8th, but unfortunately that would not be enough to tie up or go past the Mariners 5, obviously, as the A's dropped the opening game in this 4-game set with Seattle by the final of 5-3. Seattle 5 runs, 9 hits, no errors. Oakland 3 runs, 3 hits, and 2 errors in this contest. Walker picked up the win for the Mariners. He improves to 1-1 on the year. Manaea taking the loss for Oakland. He falls to 0-2 on the season. Williams picking up his second save for the Mariners in 2020 in this one. No homers for your Oakland Athletics in this one. Over on the Mariners side, no home runs for them either. So pretty much just, little traditional baseball, getting the runs scored in this one for both teams. Pitching-wise in this one, Manaea, of course, as mentioned, he got the start, 4 1/3, 6 hits, given up 5 runs, 3 of those runs earned, no walks, 4 strikeouts, no home runs given up before Wendelken, Weems, and Smith came in to pitch the remainder of this contest. So just, man, very frustrating night for us. Very happy night, of course, for our boy Dre up in Seattle. Boss, your take on this game to lead off the 4-game set with the Mariners.
Well, I'm happy for Taijuan Walker. Had a very good outing. I mean, when you come back from Tommy John surgery, you just don't know if your arm is going to be as strong as ever, or it's just never going to get back right. So the young man has worked hard to get back to pitching, and he had a very impressive start. The A's could not hit him at all. He had the A's bewildered, had them looking absolutely ridiculous at times at the plate. It was not fun seeing the A's struggle like this after losing 2 games at home. You would think they'd be a little bit more motivated, have some pep in at the batter's box. 3 total hits. Are you kidding me? 3 total hits. You guys are supposed to be way better than this. I mean, if you notice, Chris Davis isn't playing, so you guys can't blame him. There is a total lack or failure to communicate from the hitting coach for these guys how to attack for real. I'm talking about a real attack in baseball. You don't have to go hit a bunch of homers, guys. You don't have to. It's fun. Now, don't get me wrong. It's fun to see the long ball, but I want to see wins, man. I like singles and doubles because they usually turn into something big. They make the inning big and make the inning longer. How you beat, But for some damn reason, the A's didn't think that was the case, and they went and got beat down. So you had a 3-game losing streak, and you're in a tough place that historically have not done the greatest at. And now you got 3 games that you have to win the road to win the series. Tall task. Tall task.
Let's go ahead and see if your Oakland Athletics would continue down this path of early destruction that it seemed like that they were destined to be going down, or if with the start of this contest, would they be able to turn things around and get a little bit of a hot streak going? Let's see what happened in Game 2 of this 4-game series up in Seattle back on Saturday, August the 1st. Man, it's crazy. We're at what, the 7th game here, and it's already the 1st of August. But hey, this is, again, wacky baseball 2020, folks. Get used to it. Here's what happened back on Saturday, August the 1st. Seattle would score first in this one when they would score the first 2 runs of the game in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Unfortunately for them, and luckily for the A's, those would be the only 2 runs they would end up scoring in this contest. Your Oakland Athletics, on the other hand, would get the ball rolling late in this one to turn things in their favor. They would score 2 runs to tie this game up in the top of the 7th, and unable to score any runs on their own after that, but able, of course, to prevent the Mariners from scoring any runs. They would do something that they have already done previously back on opening night, and that is play in their second ever extra inning game with these weird, wacky 2020 extra inning rules. The A's, of course, would score first in the top half of that 10th extra inning and would hold the Mariners to a goose egg in the bottom of that 10th inning as your Oakland Athletics win this game in extras by the final of 3-2. Oakland 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. Seattle 2 runs, 5 hits, and no errors in this contest. Soria picking up the win for Oakland, improving to 1-0 on the year, while Antavilla took the loss for the Mariners, falling to 1-1 on the year. And the Mad Ozzy, Liam Hendricks, picking up his second save of the 2020 season. Home runs in this one, oh yes, he's the great Chad Pender. Just bombing them out of the yard. Pender going deep for the first time in 2020 in this one. That, of course, being the lone homer for your Oakland Athletics in this one. Over on the Mariners side, no long balls for anybody over there on the M side of things. For your Oakland Athletics, it, of course, was the second Fires Day of 2020, with Fires getting the start and going a little bit longer in this one compared to his first start. 6 innings in this one, 4 hits given up, 2 runs. Both those runs earned, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts in this one before you had Dykman and Petit come in for an inning each. Soria, of course, pitching an inning and getting the win. And, of course, Hendricks to close things out at the end in extras with his second save. So, hey, kind of was a little bit of a nail-biter at first and looked like it had the makings of the night before, but definitely, I will say, was nice to see the A's turn things around late in this one. But I think you'll hear my main man kind of echo my thoughts when I got to say that, man, we got to see the bats start going a little bit earlier in this one. It's great to see when they get them going late and can force extra innings and win it, but they wouldn't have to get into that position, folks, if they got things going early in the game. Boss, take it away.
Well, I thought Mike Fiers pitched well enough to get a win. I mean, but 4 hits, he had 2 runs. I mean, he obviously had you won't say this bad, it's like something exploded, but they got 2 runs, but the A's didn't give him any run support. No run support whatsoever. So what do you expect? I mean, he had 6 strong ones. Hey, man, he's done all he could. But, Jake Diekman and Yusmeiro Petit and Joaquin Soria and Liam Hendricks, they all did a masterful job of making sure that lead never stretched out. And once the game got tied after the 7th inning, they made sure they really held the fort down and getting it to Liam Hendricks for him to get the save. I thought the big play to the 10th for the save. I thought the big play obviously was because of the new rules. Kept having to be on second, and Robbie Grossman. Well, what can you say about Robbie? Robbie Grossman has played well for the A's this year. I think his approach at bat, even when he gets it out, he's not necessarily really striking out. He's getting contact on the ball. He's not trying to smash home runs. Everybody cannot be a home run hitter in your lineup. It's not going to be a complete lineup if you have that. So I was really satisfied because Fosse and Kike were talking about it. And as soon as he hit it, they said, yep, that's a hit. Got it in to the gap. I thought that it should have been a triple because by the time the ball so-called got launched under the field out there, right center field, man, my man was already smoothly going around second, basically. Come on, man. Robbie got absolute darts, and he wasn't going to catch him. But, that's all water under the bridge because here it is. You snap a 3-game losing streak. You're back to 500. Now you put yourself in position to at least get a split in the series or maybe even win it. Granted, what happens out the rest of the way up to Seattle.
And here's what would happen in the third game of that 4-game series is, of course, the starting pitching matchup would be a pitching matchup that would feature two gentlemen that at one time were part of the same starting rotation in Oakland. You, of course, had Chris Bassett going for us and the former Oakland Athletic, Kendall Graveman, going on the hill for Dre's Seattle Mariners in this one. Here's what went down on Sunday, August the 2nd, up at T-Mobile Park. Seattle would score first in this contest when they would get the first run of the game across in the bottom of the first inning. No team would score anything after that point until the fifth inning, when the Oakland Athletics would decide, hey, let's score all three of our runs for this one right here, right now. And, of course, they would do that and drop a 3-run spot on the Mariners in the top of the fifth inning to jump out to a 3-1 lead. Seattle would chip away a little bit, though, with a single run in the bottom of the eighth inning. But luckily for Oakland, they weren't able to get anything else after that eighth inning, as the A's would close things out on them in this one and pick up the W, winning this one by the final of 3-2. Oakland 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors. Seattle 2 runs, 5 hits, and no errors in this contest. Bassett picking up the win as he improves to 1-0 on the year. Graven taking the loss, falling to 0-2 on the season for Seattle. And Hendricks picking up his third save of the 2020 campaign in this one. Home runs in this contest, we'll go ahead and take a look and see if over on the A's side you had Razor Ramon Lariano going deep for the second time in 2020, the lone homer for the A's in this one. Over on the Seattle side, you had Lewis hitting his third bomb of the 2020 campaign for the Mariners. Bass, as mentioned, getting the start and the W in this one. 5 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run given up, that 1 run being earned. No walks and 7 punch-outs in this contest before giving way to McFarland, Diekman, Petit, and Hendricks to get the save in this one. So, man, boss, Dre was feeling kind of a little happy after that first game, but pretty sure that probably by this third game, he's starting to unfortunately see a team that he's kind of told us is most likely in a rebuilding phase yet again up there in the 206.
Yeah, definitely. I would expect that. Them, Felix Hernandez, other guys who were there for some time are not there anymore. A lot of new faces, especially since I've joined on to this show in particular. The team has changed around a lot, so you got to respect that. I do like Kyle Lewis, so I think he's badass. So, man, I think that guy there is going to be a perennial all-star. He's going to be a household name amongst fans. You just give it some time. Trust me. We can't get the full season to see what he can fully do. The 162-game season. But that guy there, man, trust me. They got a good one up there in the 206. This game was another frustrating game. You won 5 total hits. Come on, with this team, with this lineup, 5. We're lucky that Razor Ramon is such a dog, but he was in the slump in himself. But I love that short compact swing. I love how he's able now to track off speed balls, or he really has a lot more patience in the zone than he exhibited when he first came up with this in 2018. That's tested the hard work, and that's actually him studying his craft, studying film, and looking at splits and tendencies of pitchers. That's why he's become one of the better center fielders, not just defensively, but I believe offensively. If you look at last year when he got hurt, when he had the shin problem, the A's offense was really on fire, and he was tearing the cover off the baseball. I mean, literally and figuratively, changed something in this week where he raised his batting average 30 to 40 points. Do you remember that last summer? He all of a sudden just became just a dynamic player. And I believe he's the A's best overall hitter right now. Maybe not the most talented, but he is the A's best overall hitter in my view. But for him to take that ball beat and it's clear it's uncharacteristic. We talk about the A's pitching or what have you, but our guy, he's been over Petit, man. He's with the long ball, the man with the rubber arm. I call the rubber band man. Him give up, a jacket. Yeah, I know he was pissed afterwards, but that's why you got the extra cushion. Sometimes if you mess up, you don't get the run. You still got the extra cushion to rely on. But Hendricks comes in, gets another save. A's have back-to-back wins. And they're back in the plus 500 column that 5-4. And you can kind of see they won that game. They're like, come on, guys, hey man, let's get this though. We at least split the series, but let's really go at it though, man. We got some good damn team though, man. Let's start playing like it.
And let's go ahead now and take a look and find out what went down in the finale of this 4-game series between your Oakland Athletics and Seattle Mariners on Monday, August the 3rd. Seattle would score first in this contest, scoring their first run in the bottom of the third inning. Unfortunately for them, unfortunately for Dre, and unfortunately for the rest of the 206 fan base, that would be the only run they would get in this one, and let's just say that after that, things would get a little bit ugly if you were a fan of the team up there in the 206. Your Oakland Athletics, fifth inning, they decided, screw this. Let's take a dump on the Mariners. They drop a 8 spot. Basically, a touchdown and decide, hey, let's go for the 2-point conversion while we're at it. 8 runs in the top of the 5th inning. They would go on to score 2 more runs in the top of the 7th and tack on a final run just for shits and giggles, I guess you could say, in the top of the 9th. As for the first time in 2020, the A's unleashed what we here at A's Fan Radio like to call kaiju mode on the Seattle Mariners as they blow them out by the final of 11-1. Oakland 11 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. Seattle 1 run, 4 hits, and no errors in this contest. Frankie Montas getting the win in this one, his first win of the year, and improves to 1-1 on the year. Sheffield taking the loss for the Mariners. He falls to 0-2 on the season. Home runs on this one, man. About time to finally see Crush smash in this one, and hopefully maybe Crush smashing finally wakes him the hell up. First home run of the year for KD in this contest. Only homer of the game for the Oakland Athletics, though, in this one. No home runs over on the Mariners side of things in this game. Meanwhile, as far as pitching goes, Montas, he went 7 innings, 4 hits given up, only the 1 run given up, which was a single earned run. 4 walks, 9 Ks for Frankie in this one. Frankie the Locomotive is apparently what some have jokingly dubbed him, and I kind of threw out there just as a joke, maybe he should start using Locomotive by Guns N' Roses as his warm-up music when he comes in to pitch. So great pitching performance there by Mr. Montas on Monday night up there in the Pacific Northwest. Wendelken and Trevino, of course, pitching the final 2 innings in this contest. So, man, boss, hell of a way to close out a series up in Seattle, and hell of a way maybe to see some waking up finally from the bats in this one.
Definitely. Anytime you score 11 runs in a ball, you are giving your entire pitching staff a kind of an easy feeling that they're at ease when they go out there on the mound. Because, my guys, they're giving me the lead. Even if I do screw up a tad bit, though, every pitch will not be as magnified as it is if it's a game 3-2 or 2-1, or if we're down, a run or two. So I am satisfied seeing Chris Davis get a couple of hits, seeing him actually get a hold of one. Bob Melvin has talked about he was changing up his swing a little bit, kind of readjusting it, and it looks like it's paid dividends thus far. He's not trying to kill the ball. Even that home run was not a launch angle one. He kept his swing more level, and when you keep a level swing and you're able to catch the ball flush, a lot of good things can and will happen. I look at Frankie Montas, what a game. When you see guys that are going well into the later frames, and they're striking out guys, and they're looking confident and getting quick innings like he was doing. that's when you know a guy is in the zone. I mean, with him getting the win and Bassey getting the win the day before, they recorded the first wins for ace pitchers all year. Given that we got some tremendous talent as far as starting pitching goes, we had not recorded a win yet for a starter. So to see it happen on back-to-back days was pretty damn good. You look at the fifth inning in particular for the A's when they did the explosion. They had 8 runs. They had 14 batters. Man, so Sheffield was pitching, damn well for the first 4 frames, but all of a sudden the A's did pretty well, and got some timely hits. And I have to quote Stephen Piscotty what he said. He said, "You look at that inning. There are a few that fell in that won't necessarily hit all that hard, but the floodgates kind of opened there, and it was nice for everyone to have a part in it." That is baseball. You don't have to always hit the hell out of a baseball to be effective in the cause hell. Some of those bloopers or some of those little kind of soft hits that kind of sneak throughout the outfield or infield hits, just putting mere contact on the baseball, easygoing swings, as I like to say, as I was taught growing up playing baseball, those things should be some of the biggest killers. I say it all the time. I'm going to keep saying it. Man, you get men on base, that pitcher is not throwing out the windup. He's throwing out the stretch. That means there's not a certain type of bite is not on his breaking pitches. His changeup, the delivery of it, the movement is different. The fastball, even there's some miles of velocity that are usually thrown off a bit. Maybe we can catch up to it. So the A's are really doing that. As Scotty said, open up the floodgates. When you do that, it brings an air of confidence. And I think you look in the dugout when the A's are doing all that scoring, you see relief on their faces. I think they were really tight the first, 7, 8 games of the year, even 9 games of the year. They're really tight with them going up to the plate. They know the season is much shorter and the room for error is quite minuscule at best. So when you're pressing like that, when you're going up to the plate, and we're not in sync yet, though. Don't get it twisted. We're not in sync. But, you've seen guys understand that, hey, we're going to start getting there. We feel we're going to start getting there. So, hey, you got the win to complete the 3 in a row. Now you come back home for it's not a Texas two-step, but you haven't the 2 Texas teams come two-step in your home place. So, man, you got to handle business. You can't get too high. You can't get too low. It is baseball.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is 7th inning stretch time here on A's Fan Radio. Though, obviously, with this little kind of modified version of the show and this 2-week recap, this 7th inning stretch will not be its normal 10 minutes. It will be 5 minutes for y'all, but obviously not that long for us because of the magic of the editing process out there. And thanks to the magic of editing, we'll actually have Boss here for the whole second half of the show. First time in 2 or 3 years that has happened. So when we come back for the infamous X-rated second half of the show, we will go ahead and recap the 3 games with the Texas Rangers. Also preview the upcoming matchups with the Houston Astros in Oakland. Over here is the first Battle of the Bang in 2020 goes down. We also, of course, will preview the matchup with the hold on, let me go here. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We'll preview also as well that matchup with the Angels that will go down next week. Take a look at the standings around Major League Baseball as they look right now. And then, of course, close out tonight's broadcast with your predictions from the beginning of the year on how y'all think the A's will finish out. And, of course, mine and Boss Man's final thoughts. That coming at you here in a little bit on the second half of show number 269, the return from quarantine edition of A's Fan Radio. We'll catch y'all on the flip side of the 7th inning stretch in a little bit. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to what we historically hear on your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics, referred to as the infamous X-rated second half of AFR. Those of you, of course, tuning in for the first time, we refer to it as the X-rated second half because back in the day, the first time around we did the show, usually the second half is where we saved all the little naughty adult language portions for. Obviously, though, since myself and my main man here have become involved, we pretty much sometimes turn this whole show into an X-rated broadcast, if it is. And by that we mean by the
because
colorful.
we don't give up. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, what that guy pretty much said. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is the second half of show number 269, the return from quarantine edition of A's Fan Radio. Tonight's broadcast, of course, dedicated to all who's been affected by the coronavirus pandemic, and, of course, my Aunt Diana Engstrom, who was murdered in an arson fire back on July the 20th. It is legally 5150 Corporate Rifle Asshole coming at you, of course, from the temporary broadcasting spot of the show until the new Dub 6 Studios is ready in 2 to 3 weeks. The Sweat Paddock up in the Oakland Hills. Bossman, of course, calling in on the cell phone from the Boss Pad over in Alameda. And before we get into recapping the Rangers series, one thing I did want to touch bases on is I don't know if you had a chance to hear that little talk that Townie and I had on the post-game show the other day about how they're doing the whole thing with all the broadcasts remotely. But I got to say, Boston, I want to hear your take on this real quick. Are you impressed at all, or does it really seem like to you that they are actually doing a pretty damn good job of making it seem like it's business as normal at the ballpark, even though we all know that that's far from the case in 2020?
I think sports overall, and I'm going to have to be really honest, they've done a great job with making the games be entertaining. I think pumping in the crowd noise was just right on time. You had to do that. Can you imagine if there's no noise and it's like silent as if you're like at the damn sandlot like we were when we were 8 or 9 years old playing baseball? It's not going to work. I think we have two of the best in the business with Foss and Kite. Also with the pregame and the postgame, having Smoke or having Bip on there, dropping all kind of jewels for us. They've done a great job too. We have to adjust people on the fly, and I think the A's broadcast team, period though, man. Shout out to them. Have done an excellent job. I'm engaged. I enjoy it. I love the candor. I love Dallas Braden, dropping in, with his timely little ad libs or what have you. So I thought they've done a pretty damn good job. I mean, we are in the COVID time. This will be known as the quarantine time. And things are going to be known as a little bit different, man. That's just the way it is. Until we get back normal, until we get a vaccine or get a handle on this thing, it's going to be like this. So you have to make the best of it. And I think the guys in the A's organization have done a great job.
One other thing, also real quickly, I kind of wanted to touch bases as I'm getting all tongue twisted here. Sorry about that. One other thing I wanted to touch bases on as well, real quick, before we go ahead and get back into recapping this last of the games we got to recap from the last 2 weeks of baseball is, Boss, real quickly, if you can, your thoughts on something that went down yesterday and has unleashed what you have kind of officially dubbed as Savage Covel.
Oh my God. Well, we got to get into it because it is the talk of the town right now. Trust me. People have hit me on Twitter, have hit me on Facebook, called my phone, asking me the same question. Boss, what do you think of the A's power play on Spencer Steele? Well, you know what? It is what it is, people. Politics, business, sometimes they can get nasty. And the A's want Howard terminal. They don't give a fuck about what crybaby shit somebody wants to say about that this can destroy the integrity of West Oakland college gentrification, which I think is such the most stupidest shit I've ever fucking heard in my life, though. Okay, people, gentrification basically is talking about white people moving up into areas that were populated by black and brown people. Let's be serious. Is West Oakland the same as it was in fucking 2000? Was it even the same as it is 10 years ago in 2010? No. So just shut up, though, about it's going to gentrify the place. West Oakland is already fucking gentrified. You should have known gentrification was happening in West Oakland as soon as Emeryville got built up the way it did. Okay? And you start seeing all these people over time, periodically, moving from San Francisco and other places coming in there. I mean, fuck, man. That little liquor store that's right across the street from the fucking West Oakland bar, you see all kind of motherfuckers who you would never see. They're walking in there, walking their dog. Hi, how you doing? Going to get the alcohol, or hell, even getting some goddamn raps or whatever, man, to go get high. That's the fucking truth, man. So West Oakland already was getting gentrified. So, man, spare me your bullshit, man, about it's messing up like that. And, Slitzer Steel or Snitcher Steel, whatever the fuck, Wiener Schnitzel Steel, whatever the fuck they're called, though, man. Those motherfuckers there, man, have been trying to throw salt up in Dave Cavalman's fucking game for a long fucking time, though, man. You know what? I think Dave has had enough of it. You look at him lately on Twitter, my man is going off. He's letting his teeth show. He's showing he's a motherfucking shark, though. He's telling people, look, I got a Via Stadium in San Jose, which is right by a fucking international airport in the Silicon Valley. I got that down in an industrial area. Why don't you trust me, okay? I got game for this. I got experience. Why are you hating? You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to be by the waterfront when you're downtown. He keeps saying it. This guy here and my partner, the corporal, told you motherfuckers for years that they are not going to build at the fucking Coliseum. We love the Coliseum. We grew up there. My father grew up there. Your father, your mother, whoever, have grown up there. Our people were there. They helped put this A's fandom, they put it to where it was at, and we took it over, and we, took it to the next level. But those days are passing, people. It's just like a motherfucker who loved the days of rap when Cool Herc or fucking, Melly Mel and all those other motherfuckers, Grandmaster Flash and Run DMC, when the shit was on vinyl record and shit. Like, this is the real stuff. This is the days. Those are the same people who were against tapes, CDs, fucking MP3, and now, these streaming services that can go on your fucking phone, though, man. Look, you have to move with the times. This franchise, for all intents and purposes, no matter how much we love it, no matter how great the A's fans are, the A's fans are great, man. And shout out to Green and Gold Uncensored on Facebook, man. Tim Garner and all those people, y'all my people. I love y'all to death, though. They talk the biggest shit ever. But people like that, these people want to go to a dope ballpark. They want to see their team have big time revenue to where they're able to sign Matt and Marcus Simeon, for long term deals so their kids can grow and see these guys up into their adult years, whatever. This is how you build a baseball fan base. They grow up with guys for a long period of time. And we've lost that here in Oakland. You've gotten so accustomed to a guy balling out, showing that he's got spunk and he's got fucking skills. And then this motherfucker goes to New York, Boston, Chicago, and kills and makes hella bread and wins titles. Fuck that, okay? And then I understand the longshoremen. I can understand them. They're scared of losing their jobs. They're scared of certain, how can I say it, certain programs or formats, how they do things, I won't say completely illegal, but I'm just saying it's the way how they might be able to bend the rules, or I can take a break a little bit longer, whatever, because, you build a house around there, you have a bunch of snitch motherfuckers around there, and people, hey, what are you doing, and all that. I can understand that. But at the same time, if the port commissioners are saying, maybe, and they could be lying, but I don't think so, they're saying that the port power terminal is not being operated. All they do is put some little storage there, but they're not really doing any real yeoman's work on that thing. If it was such a problem, why are the commissioners allowing that? It's besides money. Don't say, oh, they're getting paid a bunch of money. Because you think the port commissioners want those big damn shipping containers to not drop off food and clothes and other supplies here in Oakland? It's the third biggest port. Hell, on the West Coast, what is it? It's Long Beach, I think it's Seattle one, and then it's us or whatever. You think they want to lose out on that revenue? I don't think so. So, somehow, some way, something's going to have to get done. But this move that Cavill did, Cavill was saying enough is enough. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I try to be nice to you guys. I try to give you literature. I try to give you education. I try to give you stats. I try to give you numbers. You motherfuckers don't want to hear me. He's doing the Bernie Mac. I ain't afraid of you motherfuckers. He's doing it right there, right live and direct in your face. And I feel him on it, though. He wants to get something done. You think he came from a pretty successful operation down there in San Jose? Because, they got a pretty good thing going down there with the earthquakes. You think he came up to be a failure, to not get something done? People want to have feathers in their cap. Sometimes for people money is not everything. People care about their legacy. And have that on his mantle. I helped get the impossible done off the waterfront in Oakland, right a step away from downtown. Man, come on. Come on. That's a good ego boost. That's good for your confidence as he goes forward in his life. I mean, I don't know if he'll be here forever, but eventually, if he does move on to other areas in his life, that's on his resume, man. You know, it's been a frustrating thing. I told Dave, I said it's going to be tough dealing with these politicians and dealing with the other stuff that comes with, dealing with Oakland. Man, when it comes to getting big projects done, it's difficult. He sees it, but he's making stuff happen. And in this, he's saying, hey, you're saying we're bad for West Oakland? What about all the pollution that you've done? And we know people who are from West Oakland, who live in West Oakland, that have said, goddamn repeatedly, man, this shit stinks over here. They're polluting right over there. So you know what? You get your just desserts. Now, what I hope what happens in this brings the steel company, and can probably bring some unions, brings people together and sit at the fucking table and talk like motherfucking adults. Adults get shit done. Kids just bicker and fight all day without a fucking solution. We're way past that. We are grown ass men. People got kids, who got wives, who got jobs, who have responsibilities. But you know what? I feel it. If something has to get done, this is now calling everybody's bluff. Either you put up or shut up. You're not gonna try to halt this shit forever, though, man. We're trying to get something done. Shit.
Yep, pretty much on that. And as you pointed out, and it's something obviously you and I have brought up multiple times on this show. This is why I'm not going to name names out there, but it baffles me how people like me and you, which have discussed this whole issue with Stensler Steel and other entities over the decades polluting the area around West Oakland. We've talked about that multiple times on the show, on our Twitter page, on our Facebook page. I talked about it multiple times on the show even before you were a part of the cast, and others have as well, which is why it baffles me that some people are like hearing this for the first time. And y'all out there, of course, you all are familiar with our boy Tito Soulchild. His cousin and his cousin's family lived not too far from where Howard Terminal and Stensler Steel is. They actually lived for a while. We're over there by where the U.S. Post Distribution Office was, and they said there were times the air quality over there was as bad as L.A. some days because of stuff going on over there. So definitely this is something that needed to be done. And I, for one, and I'm pretty sure a lot of those people that I know and you know in West Oakland are definitely appreciative of the fact that what the one thing Dave implied is, regardless if we get the ballpark project done down there or not, we're going to see this through to make sure that basically y'all's decades worth of complaints and frustration going ignored or being silenced because of people wanting to follow the money trail is going to get handled finally. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It's obviously a situation we will continue to monitor and do our best to keep y'all updated with as it plays out. Now, on that note, let's go ahead and get back to baseball talk, as we have one more series we have to recap here before we preview what's ahead, do the standings, and of course get ready to do things to get ready to get on out of here with this broadcast. But let's go ahead and recap that final series of this 2 weeks worth of recaps we got to look at. The first of a 3-game series and the first of 2 series that involve games with teams from Texas, as the Texas Rangers, of course, came into town to start off the first of these 2 games, or the first of these series with Texas teams. Game 1 of this 3-game series, of course, coming at you on Tuesday, August the 4th at the Coliseum. Here's what went down on that Tuesday night in Oakland. First scoring of the game in this one would not be done until the top of the 6th, when the Rangers would get the first run of the game across in the top half of that 6th inning frame. For Texas, though, that'd be the only run they would get across in this one, as Oakland would go on to score their first run of the game at the top of the 7th and would walk off basically to get 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th in this one. If I'm correct, you'll find out where those 4 runs came from in a bit, as they walked off in this one to win by the final of 5-1. Oakland 5 runs, 6 hits, no errors. Texas 1 run, 5 hits, and 1 error in this contest. Hendricks picking up the win for Oakland, improving to 1-0. Edison Volquez, the loser in this one, falling to 0-1 on the year for the Rangers. Home runs in this one, on the A side, you had Matt Chapman hitting his second one of the year, and Stephen Piscotty, his first home run of the year, and 11 days after Matt Olson did it on opening night, Piscotty's first home run of 2020, a walk-off grand slam to win this one. That grand slam, of course, the first pitch Piscotty saw from a former Oakland Athletic in Jesse Chavez. No home runs for the Rangers in this contest, but man, just crazy. And of course, for those of you wondering, first time ever that the Oakland Athletics have had multiple walk-off grand slams in a season at any point in the franchise's history. So the first time ever the A's have done that twice in a year, and I believe it's the 17th time that a franchise has had multi-walk-off grand slams in 1 year. It was, of course, also not to be overshadowed, of course, in this one, it was the long-awaited MLB start debut of Jesus Luzardo in the rotation as he made his long-awaited start in this one. Went 5 innings, 2 hits, given up no runs, no runs, no earned runs, obviously. 2 walks, 5 punch-outs in this one, with Petit, McFarland, Soria, and Hendricks pitching an inning each in the remaining 4 frames in this one. So definitely some exciting magic in this one, and definitely was great for us to see a long-awaited. Obviously we'd had a chance to see Luzardo pitch up here for a little bit near the tail end of last year and a little bit this year, but it was just nice to finally see him pitch in what we've all been expecting him to pitch in. Boss, your thoughts and your takeaways from this first game of the Rangers series?
Man, it has to be about Luzardo, man. What's his nickname? El Problemo or something, whatever his other name is. He is tremendously talented. He doesn't even know how to pitch yet, guys. Not dissing him, but I mean, to pitch on a major league level to really get your feet sunken in, like he's trying to do. You see that fastball, 98 miles per hour. He has movement. He has breaking stuff. He has command out there. He has a presence that we have not seen it out of a young phenom for the A's. I would say, a decade. Even though Sonny Gray was great, don't get me wrong. We loved Sonny Gray when he came up 7 years ago. But Sonny Gray was not like this. Not like this. This was something totally else that you were like this. Who that? What the hell? How are we able to get him? But, we made some good trades and we were able to get this guy. But, I am discouraged by seeing the top 3 guys in our lineup have donuts. Guys going 0 for 4 and 0 for 3. Not really fond of that. But what I am fond of is the bullpen. Petit did give up, he gave up a run, which is kind of uncharacteristic for him, though. He's been just so great for himself, so I can't knock him. But to see McFarland and Joakim Soria, that just blows my mind. That guy, you couldn't trust him, to carry water damn near to the dugout, man. But he really has done very well. He's have more control in his pitches. The breaking stuff is hitting for strikes at different spots of the zone. And then, Liam Hendricks, handling business again as well. I think, it was quite an aberration where Jason Castro was able to knock that home run off him. Outside of that, he has been just totally lights out. When he comes in the game, you're pretty much confident that you're going to get out of there. He has an electric fastball, and he has worked so hard on that little slider. It comes over the top slider. It's like a curveball, but it's not. It's coming out of his hand. It's looking like a fastball that just does that late break at the end. So I am just really appreciative to have such a strong bullpen and overall good pitching unit that we have in Oakland. And, as far as the bats, I'm very disappointed how guys are looking. But bases get loaded. East Bay Hero Town. My guy, Stephen Piscotty, who I love to death. He knew as soon as he hit the ball, he knew it was gone. It was crazy after the game, with the emotions all going into a walk-off. Guys can't celebrate like they usually do. It's like, all right, give you a high five, but you can't jump and hug and stuff. And that's just a real unfortunate thing in baseball and sports in general. You really can't do that right now. But again, you have to adjust on the fly. But The good news is the A's on a 4-game win streak. This year put the A's in for sure sole possession of first place in the highly contested AL West.
And it's funny you mentioned the way they handled everything there at the end, gathering around home plate with that walk off, because we kind of saw back at the beginning on opening night when Olson hit his, we kind of saw what had been the norm as far as walk offs. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm sitting there watching the game on TV, having a blast, enjoying the fact we walk off, and then you saw everybody start to pile up at home plate. Even I'm sitting there going, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, guys, whoa! We shouldn't be really doing that right now." And I think they all kind of realized that, and you've seen the adjustment that they made, obviously 11 days later when Piscotty did that. But yeah, it definitely will be weird, interesting, and weird to see how they're going to go about celebrating this stuff differently with this pandemic in place. You're not going to see really the dog piles like we normally did. Not going to see the pie smacking into the faces. Probably really you're going to see as much probably as what you saw, which is them throwing Gatorade and water at each other. And that's probably the extent of what we're going to get when that stuff happens in 2020 this year, and maybe for a while longer until, again, they get the vaccine or whatever the hell they figure out to contain this. Let's go ahead now and take a look at what went down in the second game of this 3-game series between Oakland and Texas on Wednesday, August the 5th. Texas would score first in this Wednesday night contest when they would score the first run in the top of the first inning. That lead would be short-lived, however, as the A's would answer right back in the bottom half of that frame with a 2-run spot. The Rangers, though, a couple innings later in the top of the fourth, would take the lead with a 3-run spot. Unfortunately for them, though, they would have nothing but goose eggs the rest of the way out. Your Oakland Athletics, on the other hand, would score 1 run in the bottom of the fifth, 2 runs in the bottom of the seventh, and what would be their final run in the top of the eighth as they go on to win this game and secure a series victory over the Rangers, winning this one by the final of 6-4. Oakland 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Oakland 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Texas 4 runs, 7 hits, and no errors in this contest. McFarland picking up the win for the A's, improving to 1-0 on the year. Gabat taking the loss for the Rangers. He falls to 0-1 on the year. Soria picks up save number 2 on the 2020 campaign for Oakland in this one. Homers in this one. You had a few A's going deep in this contest yesterday. You had Matt Olson hitting. I am looking at yesterday's game, right? Okay, I am looking at yesterday's game. Olson hit 2 yesterday to bring his total on the year to 3. Laureano hit 1 as well to bring his total to 3 as well. Austin Allen hitting his first homer of the year and of his career in this one as well. Over on the Rangers side of things, the only home run coming off the bat of Sin-Soo Choo, his third of the year, and obviously the accounting for a couple of runs over there on the Rangers side. Manaea got the start in this one. He only lasted 3 1/3, 6 hits given up, 4 runs for them being earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and 1 home run given up. He had Smith, McFarland, and Soria pitch the remainder of things in this one. But, man, kind of, another prototypical classic back and forth nail biter there between the A's and the Rangers. Not so much like the blowouts that we would see in Arlington, and from what we've heard, probably you may not see much of that going on down in Arlington anymore. But Boss, your take on the middle game of this 3-game set?
Big win, very big win. I think from the standpoint of seeing Matt Olson, who hasn't looked all that step at the plate this year, but see him with the little mustache, when I see him with the little mustache, I think of the bounce, go wow wow, bounce, go wow wow. The old cheap porno guy. You got the tool belt. Hey, I heard you needed a drill, lady. You know what I'm saying? My guy is over here representing with the stash. So, seeing him come out, baseball players are so superstitious. They do things to change things up, especially when they're in the funk. And he got a hold of that one, and he was real sure of it. And then, him later to get the insurance run later was big as well. I think what was key to me in this game was the Austin Allen home run. I think the young man was so pumped up. We got him from San Diego. That was his first ever home run. He golfed it out of there, and he took it a long way. And they put the A's up, and then put the A's in position to have Soria come and close things out. Shaq got the not Shaq, but Olsen got the home run later. I think things like that when you see other guys contributing, other guys filling on in, uh, you start to get the energy bug, just jumping around to everybody. Like, yeah, man, you're doing your thing. I'm doing mine. Let's go get it again tomorrow. You know, when you have unsung heroes already. I mean, we talked about the great Chad Pender. The big clutch home run that he had in Seattle. I mean, when you have things like this happening, it's contagious, and we need this contagious feeling. Teams that get that contagious feeling, they do what Washington did last year. What the Chicago Cubs did in 2016, or what the Orioles did, not the Orioles, the Royals did in 2015. And yes, I excluded 2017 and 2018. Them cheaters ain't getting no cheaters are getting no kind of kudos from me, not in the game of baseball. But when you start getting that going, man, the positive juices in the air, it starts to become fun to come into the clubhouse. I think things like that loosen people up. Slumps do happen, but when guys really got to see, okay, this is my team, this is who I'm going to be here with. I've seen him do his thing, seen him help this team win games and put us in position to do great things. Maybe when October comes, I think this Bulls are 5 in a row. And again, the Astros lost. The Astros got was 14-7 down there in Phoenix when they played the Diamondbacks. So keep it up, eh? As we were saying on the podcast, or on the Ports podcast, Dusty Baker's the manager. A lot of guys that were there doing that run from 2015 to 2019 are not there anymore. I think things are going to be changing with them, and you see right now they're not as strong as they were. They got injuries. I mean, this is the time for the A's. It's early in the season, but to really stake their claim, put their foot down, saying, "Hey, you got to really deal with us. This is not no game. This is not no BS, man. You better be ready for it." So exciting times, and you have a day game to finish off the series. Can the A's show killer instinct and close teams like this out?
And here is what went down in that very game that Boss is hinting at, which of course went down earlier today. Yesterday, obviously, for those of you that will be tuning into this when this airs on Friday, that are watching on Twitch. But here's what went down, of course, in the finale of this 3-game series with the Rangers on Thursday, August the 6th, on a semi decent day at the call in Oakland. Kind of clear, kind of cloudy, depending on where you were at, but decent day nonetheless. Here's what went down in this finale at the Coliseum on Thursday afternoon. Oakland would score first in this one when they would score the first run of the game in the bottom of the second inning. They would also score 4 runs in the bottom of the fourth inning before the Rangers would score 1 run in the top of the fifth, 1 run in the top of the sixth, and then what would be their final 2 runs of the game in the top of the seventh inning. Oakland would tack on 1 more run just to add a little bit of insurance onto things in the bottom of the seventh as they go on to take the victory and the sweep of the Rangers in this one as they defeat Texas by the final of 6-4. Oakland 6 runs, 6 hits, no errors. Texas 4 runs, 12 hits, and no errors in this contest. Mike Fiers picking up his first win of the year on 3rd Fiers Day of 2020. Fiers, of course, 1-0 on the season. Minor taking the loss for the Rangers. He falls to 0-3 on the year, and Liam Hendriks picks up his 4th save of the year for the A's in this one. Home runs on this in this contest for the A's. Lone one coming off the bat of Matt Olson. Hey, if there's a guy that could potentially hit over 20-plus homers in a 60-game season, it's this man right here. He did it over a 60-game stretch, his second year in the league? He's already got 4 on the year after hitting out 1 in today's contest, the only homer for the A's in this one. No homer, there were a couple homers over on the Rangers side. You had Frazier hitting his 2nd of the year, Tejeda hitting his 1st of the year also in this one. So 1 homer for the A's, 2 homers for the Rangers in this one. Fiers, of course, as mentioned, getting the win in this one. 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs given up, all 4 of those runs being earned. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. He did give up 2 long balls, but let's face it, Fiers is a fly ball pitcher, so he's going to be a little susceptible to the ball getting knocked out of the yard every now and then. McFarland, Petit, and Hendricks closing out things over the course of the final 3 innings in this one. And, man, like you said, Boss, definitely, I think, a way to close out things strong with this series, and I think definitely a series to make a statement with the Battle of the Bang on the horizon starting on Friday.
Almost definitely. I think Mike Fiers is able to get his first win. I think that's always positive as a pitcher. Look next to your name and see a W attached to it. You always want to be helpful. You always want to feel like you're contributing. And Mike Fiers has been paramount to the A's success the last two playoff seasons. And I think if we're going to get to where we ultimately want to go in 2020, Mike Fiers is going to be, paramount to that. Olsen, again, starting off the scoring for us is always big. You get a leg up on your opponent. You cause your pitcher to go out there to be a little bit more relaxed. He doesn't press a lot. I thought it made him the next few innings, speaking of fire, made him to be more relaxed, and he looked to be in control. And then, for the A's, in that, I believe the fourth inning, where they were able to pound on runs. I mean, with Canna, getting the single, and then, with men on base, seeing a pretty damn good at bat, in my opinion, by one Chris Davis. He fouled off pitches. He had a good eye, and then when he saw his pitch, instead of trying to just launch it out, he does a nice rip base hit, brings in two guys so you extend your lead. Unfortunately, Texas is a Major League Baseball team. Nobody wants to get swept. Big came back and made a game of it. But one of the best managing I saw by Bob Melvin was done. That was where I believe it was Chris Davis. He got on base, and and this is just a testament, I think, to the work that they're doing with in respect to his batting style. Maybe not trying to be the home run guy. You already got your $16 million a year. You got your hit. You got up on the base, and you were able to get 2 seconds. Before you get the second, you had Steven Piscotty, who was one of our power hitters. Obviously, he showed the walk-off man two days before. You have him bunt. The A's are not known as a bunting team, but I love it. This is baseball. You got to do whatever you can to move a guy from station to station. And after getting Chris Davis over the second, he pinch runs Franklin Barreto. Franklin Barreto, obviously with excellent speed, comes home after Murphy. It's a wonderful base hit. Just how the shortstop Elsa Andrews meant from. And when you get that insurance from, Liam Hendricks is coming in and he's going to close the door, and that he did. The A's are 9-4 with a 6-game win streak and a couple games up on divisional foe. With them coming into town this weekend as they lost in the 9th inning to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Presley blew another save, and I think with Ozuna, that woman beater piece of shit, out for the season, out hell for next season as well. You won't see him until 2022.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's too bad. Yeah, I feel bad for woman beaters. Okay, but now you have them coming into town. With them coming into town, this is a perfect opportunity for your fan base and for the organization. If this organization, they're fighting two battles on two fronts. You're fighting the battle with the powers that be, trying to get this stadium, trying to get it done, this development done, so you can put yourself up there with the higher echelon money-making franchises in sports, period. And then you're fighting the battle of trying to be elite, not trying to be just the playoff A's. They'll make the playoffs and they don't win. Well, the ways of doing that is actually winning your division and winning head-to-head games against your divisional opponent. Thus far, we've been able to play pretty damn well against 3 teams in our division. Now the 4th team is coming into town. They are the 3-time defending AOS champions. Obviously, they got an asterisk on a lot of that shit because there's some damn cheaters. But never mind that, because they were cheating last year in Houston, and we still whooped their ass at the end of the season. And I'm hoping after we break this thing down, maybe I can give a prognosis that we can whoop their ass again.
Definitely feel you on that, and figured may as well. Let's go ahead and squeeze these previews in as well, so that way we can set up the next break to be our final break of the night. We'll just have to squeeze the standings and the fan question / our final thoughts in on the final segment. But coming up, of course, on deck for your Oakland Athletics is a 3-game series with the Houston Astros, Houston Asterisks, Houston Cheaters, whatever the bloody hell you want to call them. The series that is officially going forward now will be referred to by A's fans as the Battle of the Bang. We won't be there for it, unfortunately, but we've heard rumors and talks, of course, that somebody, I guess, put up a GoFundMe to have a banner flown over the stadium this weekend. Wouldn't be surprised if left field Brian had his hands in that. But 3-game series, of course. The first game Friday, August the 7th, a 6:10 p.m. start at the Coliseum. Game 2, of course, is a 1:10 p.m. start on Saturday, August the 8th. And the finale, of course, on Sunday, August the 9th, will be a 1:10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time start at the Coliseum. Definitely be interesting to see how things play out with that. Kind of already heard a little bit of Boss's take on that right there. Definitely looking for some blood in this one. I feel it's a series that could be winnable for the A's because it's not the same Houston team as Boss hinted at. You've seen a lot of guys that are either not there anymore, guys that are hurt. Obviously, you got Astros fans and people out there complaining about the fact that they're using mostly rookies in that rotation and bullpen. But, oh well, this is the big leagues. You got to learn to adapt and adjust when your go-to people aren't there. Part of the pros, man. So definitely feel that we could take advantage of that. And then obviously after that, the A's will go out of town for 3 games to head down to Anaheim for a series at Angel Stadium. August the 10th, that'll be on Monday. There'll be a 6:40 start down there. August the 11th, which is a Tuesday, is a 6:40 start as well. And then the finale of that 3-game series in Anaheim will be a 1:10 start on August the 12th, which is a Wednesday. So definitely an opportunity here for some winnable games and definitely some time to put some distance between yourself and some AL West opponents. Wouldn't you agree, boss?
Most definitely, most definitely. And I think in this game, tomorrow's game, is so huge. You have Zach Greinke, a guy who has been a tremendous pitcher since coming in. I believe he started out with the Royals, and then he was with the Brewers and Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and he was on the run last year to the World Series, coming up short in Game 7. But Zach Greinke's been a hell of a pitcher. I mean, it's a guy that throws an array of pitches. He has a changeup, got a sinker, got a two-seamer, has a wonderful heater. He has precision. He has placement. The guy is tough on the mound. God damn it! And it's going to be a challenge for our A's batters who lately have gotten a little bit better at the plate. I think over the last 4 games, when you're scoring 28 runs, it's averaging 7 runs a game. Normally, if you can score 7 runs in a ball game, you should win, given with our pitching and our pretty good glove that we have out there in the field. I expect the A's to have a tough game on Friday. I think it'll be a close game, a low-scoring game. But I think our bullpen being stronger, even if it's an event, it's a close game. I think our guys want it so bad that I think they're going to take that game tomorrow. And you have, Framber, Valdez, and Christian, what's the young man's name? Christian Javier. These are young guys pitching. This is not Garrett Cole, Wade Miley, even Mike Fiers before, who used to be with them. But McCullers not pitching, or McHugh. Those guys that really gave the A's batters hell are not pitching in the series. This is a great opportunity to put some more distance between you and to really put this team on their heels to worry about, damn, if we don't get our act together, the A's are going to run away with this division. I'll just say I expected 2 out of 3. I would love a sweep. Sweep are hard to get, but if you are able to sweep this team mentally, it can with the Houston Astros all year. I mean, they're still a team that's formidable on offense, but let's just be honest, they don't have some of the same guys. And George Springer is not going to play tomorrow. I don't expect him to play in this series. If he plays, it will be on Sunday. It won't be on Saturday. So you're giving yourself an opportunity while this team is hurt, man down. You need to take advantage. If you're able to take advantage, things could absolutely just really open up for you. You're going to have Chris Bassett, Frankie Montas, and Hank Luzardo pitching all in a row. I don't think I have seen, since the Astros have come to the AL West, I have not seen a period where the A's have had three flamethrowers in a row throw up against those batters. Now let's see how they feel when they have guys who are throwing 95 plus, man, with some great movement that are pitching against them. Now we had to deal with that with them for some years. Now they have to deal with us. So let's see, people. Let's see what goes down. Let's see what happens. Then you have the Anaheim series, which I think is another big series as well because Rendon will be back. It's going to be a challenge. The A's pitching staff fares against him on the road. I said, that if the A's are going to be a serious team for this year, they have to go 10-6 in those games. They're 9 right now. So, if you're able, before our next show next week, if you're able to say, the A's are, 13-6, 14-5, or whatever, better if they can sweep all these things, you're putting yourself in position to not only make sure that you're a playoff team, but the home field advantage where you can be playing majority of the games in the postseason in Oakland. That's all we can wish for, and that's all we can hope for.
Definitely no doubt on that. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take what will be our final break of the evening. When we come back, we will take a look at the early standings around Major League Baseball. Boss will go ahead and read off the predictions that y'all gave us back at the beginning of the season off of Twitter and share his final thoughts. And then, of course, I will read the predictions from y'all off of our Facebook page and give you all my final thoughts. That coming at you in the final segment of this Return from Quarantine edition of A's Fan Radio, coming right back at you here following our final break of the night. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set to close things out here on show number 269, the Return from Quarantine edition of your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics. It is A's Fan Radio. It is Corporate Right-Field Asshole. It is the Boss Man. Let's go ahead and get this final segment wrapped up and done so that way we can all get to sleep. Well, maybe it's that way so Boss can get to sleep. I'll be up for a few hours, obviously, editing this for y'all's listening enjoyment for those of you that are going to be tuning into this at some point during the day, Friday. Let's go ahead and begin this final segment, of course, with the early look at the standings around Major League Baseball. We, of course, as always, start off first in the American League because the American League is the league that the A's are in. And, of course, we, as always, start off with the A's division at first, the American League West, where your Oakland Athletics currently are sitting on top with a record of 9-4. The Houston Astros are in the second spot currently right now with a record of 6-6, 2.5 games back of the A's, 4 games back, and at 5-8 in third place for the Anaheim Angels. The Seattle Mariners are in fourth place with a record of 5-9, and sitting in last place right now in the AL West with a record of 3-8 are the Texas Rangers. Let's go ahead now and take a look around at the rest of the American League. In the AL East, you got the New York Yankees on top with a record of 9-3. The Baltimore Orioles and the Tampa Bay Rays are tied for the second spot with a record of 5-7. The Toronto Blue Jays are in the fourth spot with a record of 4-6. And at the bottom of the AL East, currently you have the Boston Red Sox with a record of 4-8. Finally, to wrap up things in the AL over in the Central, you have the one team that I'm pretty sure that for those of you who've been following out on social media, and you'll hear him probably hint at it a lot, the one team that Boss feels everybody should watch out for in the American League, sitting on top of the Central at 10-3, that being the Minnesota Twins. You got the Cleveland Indians in the second spot with a record of 8-6. The Chicago White Sox in the third spot with a record of 7-6. The Detroit Tigers at an even 500 at 5-5. And at the bottom of the AL Central are the Kansas City Royals with a record of 4-10. Boss, your outlook on these early standings after the first 2 weeks of Major League Baseball action in 2020 on the AL side?
Well, I think we've already summed down the AL West. I mean, they go without saying. I look at the AL East because I see the Rays taking a step back this year. I mean, that was always my prediction that they lost a couple of people. The Gumby fam went to San Diego. There's a couple other guys that are not there anymore, a couple of relievers, people of that nature. That was part of that magical run that they had in 2019. I'm just of the mindset that team there is going to struggle. to regain that form they had. And then they caught lightning in the bottle with the what they do the bullpenning idea. I think that's going to be that's dying out. People are going to adjust to that crap. The Baltimore Orioles have been a competitive team, but they're not that good. Toronto, is young. They're building for the future. I think they have some talent, but also to put it together. The Red Sox are going to struggle. They traded some star players with the purpose of cutting payroll because they're looking with an eye toward the future to be relevant. A little later on in this decade, sooner if not later. But the Yankees are the class there. But somebody, because of the way how playoff format is, somebody who's going to be second place is going to be in the playoffs. Would that be Baltimore? I don't know. So far, in the first couple weeks of the season, Baltimore is like the second best team in that division. And then the AL Central, those big boppers, their bats, their gloves. I just don't see a weakness with the Minnesota Twins. They're tough. They've been postseason. They got their ass kicked last year, and sometimes the ass kickings bring a lot of life lessons, the growing pains for a team. Getting bounced, I think, does nothing but just make their offense that crazy. They're plus 29 and run differential right now. I can see them pretty much the rest of the whole year. I think they're going to be the team that's going to be scoring more than anybody in baseball. I can see them being at least one of the top 3 or 4 in baseball. I'm going to predict that they're going to be the top. But then you look at Cleveland and the White Sox. Those teams, as I thought, were going to be competing for a playoff spot anyway, but it looks like they're going to compete definitely for second place. I think that's a very good division. Detroit has surprised me. They've shown some grittiness. They have a ways to go. Kansas City is just not ready after a super rebuild. I think the AL West is strong. You just look at the AL West, but the AL, the American League, is pretty strong, especially the teams that are at the top of their divisions now. The A's are obviously 9-4, and you have Minnesota 10-3, and you have New York 9-3. So A's keep playing good baseball. You never know; they could get home to an advantage, and maybe, just maybe, be able to change their fortunes. But overall, it's the first couple weeks of the year. We're really going to find out things about people over the next few weeks. We're really about to find out who's who and what's what as we head toward the home stretch when September comes.
No doubt on that. Let's go ahead now and switch things over from the junior circuit to the senior circuit. Let's take a look at how things are shaping up 2 weeks in over in the National League. And this was where things are going to kind of get a little cuckoo and wacky because of a few of the teams over in the NL decided, hey, let's ignore the coronavirus protocol. And yeah, anyway, over in the NL East, we'll start off with first. You have the Miami Marlins on top with a record of 6-1 at the moment, and mind you, they've obviously slowly started to finally make up some games from the weeks-long quarantine they had after damn near almost the whole roster contracted the virus. So slowly, I guess that's part of the reason why they're also implementing now these 7-inning doubleheader games now. So again, wacky baseball 2020 is what it is. Marlins are on top with a record of 6-1. You got the Atlanta Braves in the second spot with a record of 9-5. Washington's in the middle of the NL East pack with a record of 4-5. The Phillies are in the fourth spot with a record of 4-3. They were one of the teams as well that was affected by this whole outbreak that went on because of the Marlins. And at the bottom of the division right now, another team that had a whole bunch of crazy crap go down involving a player recently in former AAU Cespedes. New York Mets shit show front office. They're at the bottom of the NL East with a record of 5-8. Over in the Central, you have the Chicago Cubs on top with a record of 10-3. The Milwaukee Brewers are in the second spot with a record of 5-5. The St. Louis Cardinals, who apparently had players go out to a casino and contract the virus, and they're in quarantine right now, are in the middle of the Central with a record of 2-3. The Cincinnati Reds are in the fourth spot with a record of 5-8. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, or being the Pittsburgh Pirates, are at the bottom of the Central with a record of 3-10. Finally, that brings us to the wild NL West, where the Colorado Rockies are currently on top with a record of 9-3. Half a game back of them with a record of 9-4 is the Los Angeles Dodgers. The San Diego Padres are in the middle with a record of 7-6. The San Francisco Giants are 6-8 in the fourth spot, and rounding out the NL West currently at this time with a record of 5-8 are the Arizona Diamondbacks. And that concludes the NL standings as well as the MLB standings. But yeah, just boss. Whew, man, just some of the stuff going on with some of these NL teams, dude, is just like, man, it had you think there for a while, is this season going to even make it beyond 2 weeks? And it kind of still makes you wonder at times, if any of these teams break away from these protocols, like we've seen with the Cardinals, with the Marlins, and the teams that got affected with the fallout of that. All it takes is one slip up by multiple teams, dude, and this 2020 season comes crashing down to an end.
I agree. I agree. People have to be safe, and if you're not safe, it basically means you're not being responsible. You know that it's ugly out there right now. You are a baseball player. I understand you're making millions of dollars, but you can't go to a fucking casino. You cannot do it. It doesn't work. It's just like these people. I've seen these people are still going to Las Vegas. Like, are you out of your mind? Well, did you take stupid pills this morning? Why are you going to Las Vegas? It's a hot spot. Casinos are hot spots, period. You think that you're invisible to this coronavirus? Man, this thing has hit everybody. Rich people, poor people, people of different races, no matter what sexual orientation that you want to, abide by or align yourself with. Man, come on, man. You guys got to stop. If you want your season, man, you guys are going to have to be more responsible, man. Really, though. You got to show some restraint, man. You can't do it, man. You can't do it yet, though. We all want to get back and live our regular lives and have fun, kicking and all that other stuff. But no, casinos are out. Big parties are out. Stop it now. Anyhow, though, with these games having to be made up in all these 7-inning doubleheaders, it's going to put the toll on some of these teams. I'm telling you, playing 2 games in the same day is tough. And now there are going to be multiple times where they're going to be doing that in a short span. This is going to be very difficult to overcome for some people. I look at the NL East, and the Miami Marlins are 6-1. Nobody could have guessed that after 7 games. Yeah. But you know what? That's not going to be the status quo for this season. They're going to come back down to earth. They're going to be battling with the Mets for the stellar there. I expect Philadelphia, with all that talent they have, and Washington being the defending champs, I expect them to move up the rankings. They'll either be second or third. One of them are going to miss the postseason. I don't know who. If my best guess right now, it'll probably be Philadelphia that's going to miss, because I think Washington has too much talent. They're a well-oiled machine. They showed a lot of moxie last year. They did lose Rendon, but they have a wealth of talent there. I just think that them and the Braves are really going to be battling out for that division. The Mets are the New York Mets. They're terrible. Cespedes wanted to get away from this shit show. I wouldn't be surprised if he begged to come back to Oakland, because he loves it here. He lives in Point Richmond. He never wanted to leave in the first place. In the NL Central, the Chicago Cubs, man, are getting out to a torrid pace, though. They are playing pretty damn good baseball. They got the asses clapped tonight, but coming into this game, I think they were like plus like they were plus like 18 on the season. So they were playing pretty good baseball. They got Baez, Chris Bryant. This might be his last year. Anthony Rizzo. They have Hugh Darvish as pitcher. They have Hendricks. They do have a talent over there. What they did last year was not the real Cubs. A new manager, so a new different style. I think that team is going to hold on. They're a sustainable team in that division. Nobody else impresses me in that division. People were talking about Cincinnati being a threat. I still don't believe it. Maybe they get on the streak, but with Joey Votto being out with I think what he had coronavirus, that's trouble. Pittsburgh is trash. St. Louis has not played enough games to really judge them. Milwaukee, Christian Yelich is a beast, but outside of him and Kane, Braun is old as shit though, and he doesn't have the roids going for him. I don't know though, man. Mediocre team that still might get into the postseason. Then you look at the NL West, man, is going to be freaking great. Be freaking great because the Rockies are showing that last year was not their true selves. They're more the 2018 version. They look good. They got some good pitching. Looks like they can hit. And games don't look like a sport fest at Forest Field like they used to. The Dodgers, obviously, we know how elite they've been pretty much for the whole of this decade. They're trying to bust through and finally win that elusive world title. I don't know if it's their time this year, but they have some issues with their pitching staff, in my opinion. I don't think they're as stout as they used to be. Kershaw's not the same guy he was. He's not throwing that 96-mile-per-hour pitch no more. That curveball is not fooling people as it used to. But they still have a lot of talent, and Dave Roberts has shown himself to be a pretty good manager. The Padres, I think the team that I picked to sneak in as a wild card before COVID hit, and they lost some tough games to the Dodgers. This week, man. They're a pretty damn good team. I like the talent they have. Getting Profaro looks like he's playing better as far as fielding. They have Tommy Pham, Tatis Jr., and Manny Machado. They have a lot of good players there, and they have some young pitchers like Raymond who are young studs in the making. I think they're gonna have a pretty good year. I think they'll be. I look for that division to have three teams in that playoffs in the 18 playoff. I look for three to come there: Colorado, LA, San Diego. But what's going to be real interesting in this, and it's going to sound crazy for me, the role that the Giants are going to play in determining who wins that division. You have to play your divisional foes, and I look at the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers want zero part of the Giants. Like the Giants can play spoiler. So this is going to be a fun year. It's short. I think it's going to be fun because it's unlike anything we've ever seen.
Definitely going to be weird, definitely going to be intense no matter what ends up happening going forward. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and do things a little bit differently here to end things on this edition of the show. We're going to do basically I guess you could say this is a combined fan question of the night answering and final thought. And basically what we're going to do here, Boss will go ahead and read off the responses that he put out there for this question, which he posted back on June 26th. I, of course, copied that same question and put it up over on the Facebook page. So Boss will read off the ones from Twitter. I will read off the ones from Facebook. Obviously, when he's done with the ones on Twitter, he'll share his final thought, and finally we'll cut him loose to the night so he can go back to the Boss daughter and the Boss wife, even though they're probably already passed out here at 10:30 at night, and then I'll read the Facebook ones and give my final thought of the night. So this question, of course, from June 26th that Boss put up there was, so people, 4 weekends from now, baseball will be played, 60 games. What realistic expectations should we have for the A's? And with that, Boss, go ahead and share out there with everybody the responses that we got on our Twitter page, and then after that, go ahead and get us on out of here with your final thought of the night.
Oakland Sports Scout, he said in the mix for the whole thing. Well, that's good. I just don't know what in the mix means. I mean, in the mix and we fall out at the end, though. I don't know. Chicken won. Tied for first with 60 games to go on the undefeated record. Okay, well, we kind of missed your expectation, my man. With this guy, Joey C said this, though. He said realistic expectations would be A's get off to an amazing start. Then ticket services, access member services will be calling, making way too many promises they can't deliver because they really deep down could give a shit about the fans of the Oakland Athletics. And I responded, our rep gives a shit. In fact, we played with ours in McCovey Cove during the Battle of the Bay last year. That was you. That's pretty fun.
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody said winning or actually paying. So Brandon Bessie said World Series, and he got the trophy. Previn Nadu, 36 to 40 wins. I said 37. He said he could 10 for the World Series. Ryan Reynolds, not the actor, but Ryan J. Reynolds said World Series or bust with the young pitching. A full season workload was a concern. Now I don't see that as an issue. This roster is every bit as talented as every other contender in the league, and they were about a year early to their window last season. And Josh Z, the Revenge Tour, said the World Series contenders, they can hang in there with anyone in this league as long as they don't put themselves in a do-or-die situation. A wild card game, a Game 5 in ALDS, a Game 7 in the ALCS World Series. They have the tools and experience to make a serious push. Well, hey, you get into game 7, you just got to get over the hump. We all in life got to get over the hump. Bob Richards said 5 to 10 people infected, suffering from COVID, even though I don't think he's really being facetious there, though. I mean, that's quite a possibility, even though, knock on wood, the West Coast teams have done a pretty good job at quarantining themselves and keeping them away from people social distancing. Laura, fan of Justice, said depends on if the Astros will be cheating again if they play fair. I think we have a shot at the division. Me too. Matthew Ewing to say crush the hopes and dreams of every fan base, cruise to a World Series victory. However, this has been a recurring dream of mine since '89. Join the party. Matthew at Matt's Too Cool said, we're going all the way, and has a gif of Ric Flair, go hard or go home. Woo! 39-21 says Pedro Xavier. 58-2, LOL. Realistically, 35-25. 42-18 from Oak Raider. Let's get it. Matthew Slater, he says, win the whole damn thing. Ty Bang Drums said, division champs, seriously, have a better team than last year, and the Astros are going to be dealing with hate from all angles. It'll be distraction. I seriously got me than practice enough hitting without knowing the pitch ahead of time while on lockdown. Matthew Mangus said, World Series. Wendell Cagle said, we all start 0-0 record. So, Jesse said, crushing wild card loss. That would suck. Wild card loss will win division. Lose the DS in 5. Or they could prove me wrong and not do what they've done every season for 2 decades. Anyway, I'm glad they have the A's back. Ryan McCarthy, 36-24. Fletch. Get to the playoffs and see what happens. Somebody said 10-5 when they canceled the rest of the season due to the virus outbreaks. Damn, A's fan though. I like his design. He has the Mandalorian with the A's outfit. That's pretty cool. Okay. C Pro, I think 32-28 would make sense for the A's. I think they have a week of rust, but since this is mostly the same group last year, they'll gel quicker and find the groove for near first place in the division. So far, that's turning true. They looked like shit the first week, but then they're cool. Jason M, 39-21. Joey C, what's the over and under? No games played. Matthew Madigan said they were real trying to make a deep run. And Walter Zuna said win the ring. My guy Richard Hike. West is probably the strongest division. I expect the Angels to be healthy and hungry. Stros are good, even with without the cheating. The Dodgers going to be strong. Still, the Angels have their work cut off on them. I put them in the win range. If the playoffs could benefit. He didn't necessarily say what the win range will be. But 42-18 from Dan the Birdman. ALCS lost to Minnesota. They will wear green. 71-0 COVID 2020 champs of the world bucket. Let's see. Oakland Athletics, New York. What about New York people? Shout out to those guys out there on the East Coast representing the green and gold. 40-20, including 2 20-game win streaks to begin it into regular season. And last but not least, market at 510 Bobbles. Win the whole fucking thing with Tom Berenger running the first base from the movie Major League. So that there does what people on Twitter say. I think we're going to be, every week we're going to start putting up question of the week. And guys, you guys just come give your honest answers. Hell, even be funny. We'll truly appreciate it. Final thought, I'm just glad baseball's back. I'm glad that you guys are listening to us. We really missed you guys. We thought that the A's are going to be competing for the division anyway in 2020. Looks like they're going to have a good chance of that now based off the first 2 weeks. We'll see. But take care of you guys yourselves, man. If you go anywhere, social distance, be along with your group. Don't think that this thing is a joke, everybody. And, because things have flattened, people thought that things were cool once the curve formed. Don't make that mistake again, my people. Just keep it cool until they say they got a vaccine. If that's going to be until next summer, well, then so be it. You want to put yourself in a position where you're out of work for 2 weeks. You guys will lose your job, lose money, get behind on bills. You don't want to do that. It's not a good feeling. I think we've all been there in our lives before. It's not fun. So everybody, please Just do the right thing. Take care of yourselves, man, and don't listen to the BS on TV. You guys know what to do. All right, I'm out.
Boss man, thank you as always. Great to have you back, and great to actually have you on for an entire show for the first time in God who knows how long. As always, ladies and gentlemen, for the latest information pertaining to your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics, be sure to check us out at AsFanRadio.com. Like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/AsFanRadio, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at A's_fan_radio. And of course, you can catch all the show broadcasts on Twitch.tv/AsFanRadio. Our next show broadcast will be show number 270, which will be recorded next Thursday night and will air the following Friday at some point in the morning or the afternoon, similar to how we are doing things with this show tonight. I, of course, now will answer the same responses to that same question that we, of course, posted on our Twitter page over on our Facebook page. So, again, just to reinstate and remind you all of the question that was put out there. 4 weekends from now, this, of course, was back on June 26th. Baseball will be played, 60 games. What realistic expectations do we have for the A's? And again, as mentioned, I am reading off to you, of course, the responses from our Facebook followers. Chris Wilson chiming in with, at this point, it's going to be luck. Good teams can start very cold, so this year's going to be definitely a big next to it, a big question mark next to it. The A's usually play great second half baseball, so we'll see. Danny Carey checking in with, I expect a weird season from all teams, and I expect it to even play. The teams we count out may be in the running. All it takes is one good or bad run. I think the A's will end up for second or third in the West. Justin Graham chiming in with, hopefully this will stop them from peaking early and choking in the playoffs. Yeah, definitely have to agree with you on that. WM Greenslide checks in with, I think all the teams will play around 500 ball. Carlos Jimenez checking in with, get hot at the end and sneak into the playoffs. Robert Lozano comments with, World Series champions or bust. Jess O'Brien, win it all is what he has to say. Peter Somos comments with, honestly, it's no crazy to think World Series this year. The right things have to happen, but that's the case in all time, i.e. that the Nats last year, Giants all 3 years, etc., etc. Matt Wilpott chimes in with, realistically, I don't think there will be a season. Well, it kind of ended up playing one. Obviously, at this point, it's a question of, the testing at this point. It was kind of a dumpster fire at first, and, it's gotten a little bit better. Obviously, the issue at this point is going to be if any teams continue to make any of the similar mistakes to what the Marlins and the Cardinals ended up doing. So they ended up playing. We'll just have to see how long. Clint Irons chimes in with a gift of a dumpster fire. So we'll have to see maybe if that ends up happening or not as the season goes on. Tom Burkett chimes in with, actually, I think it benefits a young swinging team with tons of young arm talent, no pressure to prepare for a marathon, to get out there basically with a playoff start now, get hot, stay hot, play like there's no tomorrow. Pat Newell is commented with, A's always been a late season bloomer, so not sure about this. David Ward, they'll kick ass, just hope they don't choke at the end game. Seems to be what they do, so I just hope their game ends in a series win this time. We're due. I think we'll be buyers of the trade deadline, says Josh Romano. Justin Gomes comments with 2020 champs. Tom Smith, we had one tainted World Series championship. I'll take another. I guess, obviously, since some out there think the 89 title's tainted because of steroids and whatnot. Ralph Marshall, and by the way, I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names out there. He comments with 45-15 with a World Series win over the Dodgers in 2020. Joseph Serrano, hard to say because if we keep increasing the numbers of cases, we may not actually play. But if we play, I fully expect the A's to contend for a title. Cameron Bailey chimes in with 34-26, wild card team behind the Stros, get in and win. Derek Albertson believes that they will be 45-15. Tyler Chapman says pitching should be better and a shortened season should help with injuries all around. They swing the bats well, definitely playoffs. AJ McCarthy says, I think they're up for the challenge, but at this point anyone could get hot and win this year. And finally, Ruben Adrian Martinez Ramirez chimes in with World Series champions. So thank you again, as always, to our followers on Facebook and our followers on Twitter. And may as well mention while I'm at it that earlier today, about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, or in the case of those of you that are tuning in, listening to this recording on Friday, Thursday morning about 5 or 6, A's Fan Radio officially crossed over the combined 7,000 follower mark on our Facebook and Twitter pages. So long, finally, 7K. Congratulations. Thank you all again, of course, for the ongoing support over these 17 plus years. Now try to hurry up and find us 3,000 more so we can get to 10,000 relatively quickly. But yeah, again, all thank you for the support over the years, and especially even the support during obviously this real trying time just for all of us around the globe, and obviously as well for my family as well, following what we went through a couple weeks ago. My final thought of the night, Boss obviously hit on a lot of points, hinted at the fact of what everyone needs to do out there to stay safe. I can't, touch more on that. He hammered it home. I encourage basically everything he says, as well as obviously, enjoy every moment out there you have with your loved ones. Make sure to call, if you still got both your parents in your lives, ladies and gentlemen, give them a call every day. Tell them good morning. Tell them you love them. Give them a call at night. Say what's up. Keep in contact with your aunts, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, all that family, because you never know if a day's ever going to come where you unfortunately may end up suffering an unfortunate circumstance like what my family and I just endured a little over 2 or 3 weeks ago, losing my aunt as an arson victim. It's been kind of almost like, how can I put this? Some days feeling like it's an episode of Forensic Files almost playing out. So, and Boss hit it home earlier in the show as well, mentioning the whole, when you kind of get to that point in adulthood, that is when, in even some instances, if you have a big family like I did early on, even earlier than your young adulthood, you start to kind of, start to see, family members start to, go off and head off to the great beyond after that. Sometimes it's by natural causes, sometimes it's not by natural causes, and unfortunately, sometimes it's situations like what fell upon my aunt. Just cherish the moments you got with those that are either family or that you consider to be family, and definitely make sure that when a tragic situation like what bestowed upon mine should ever fall upon yours, to make sure that you all gather together and, hold each other, gather around each other, get strength off of each other, to get through that dark times and to be part of the healing process and all that. And, just do what you got to do. Some instances that stuff will never be fully healed, but definitely having your family around you to discuss that stuff with you helps out a lot. And even if you don't have blood family, turn to your, if you're one of those cats out there that has to rely on a street family to get you through some times like this, then do what you got to do to whatever you consider to be your family out there. And definitely just keep them close, keep in contact with them, cherish every moment with them. Not just because of obviously a situation like what happened with mine going down, but again, with that pandemic going out there, ladies and gentlemen, just a lot of stuff that we got to deal with on a daily basis. But other than that, great to be back. Great to be doing the show again. And it's going to be great to see what happens with your Oakland Athletics and just baseball in general in this weird, wacky 2020 season. On behalf of Boss Man and the rest of the gang here at AFR, this is Corporal Rifle Asshole signing off for the rest of the evening. Y'all take care and thank you for tuning in. We will catch y'all for next week's edition of A's Fan Radio. The views and opinions of our cast, our guests, and our listeners are in no way, shape, or form affiliated with the Oakland Athletics or Major League Baseball. Good night, Walter Haas. Good night, King Al. Your son is still a forever Coke Bowl ass bowl cut looking mofo. I wish you never would have left the Raiders to him. Should have left to somebody else. Good night, Chesty Puller, wherever you may be. And good night, Auntie Dai Dai. Miss you. Love you. Hope you're having fun watching the A's kick ass from your seat up in the sky up above. Thanks again, always, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into the show. Definitely looking forward to coming back at you. We will catch you next week, of course, and for a while, the same type of format where we'll be recording these shows like this, doing that until we get things set up at the new Dub 6 Studios. So until we come at you again for next week's edition of the show, take care, be safe out there. Good night, Oakland and beyond. And as always, be sure to stay Oakland, my friend.